Oops. Yeah, sorry about that. It's working now. I turned on the stream basically, and imagine the scene. This was 5 minutes ago in this very room. I turned on the stream, and pretty much because I'm using my personal hotspot again because the Wi-Fi in this Airbnb isn't fast enough. And basically, I turned on the stream, and the data just went. But now it's back. So we're here. We made it. We're alive. Jiva the Diva did not successfully make it to my location. It's just me tonight. I hope you don't mind that. It will mostly not be me this week, but there will still be a few, just like last year, where it is just me. So we have loads more rehearsals to go through today. And in fact, to be honest, I think this is a good point in time to take a look at all of the second rehearsals again. And of course, very excitingly, we have 3 different interviews tonight. We have spoken to a few people over the last few days, and now we get to share that with you. We've spoken to Linda Lampenius and Pete Parkkonen. We have spoken to Leleka from Ukraine. And we have spoken to Jonas Lovv from Norway. All very different interviews, but all interviews that you're going to see on this channel tonight. B, thank you so much for the €2 super chat. Says, this is for better Wi-Fi. Also, thank you, Chisical, for the Prime sub 2. So, we have all those interviews still to come. The lighting is going to shift because the sun is going down here in Vienna, but as is now this is the comfy, cozy Gabe house. That's kind of the vibe this year that we have ended up with. And as a result, the lighting will once again change all the way through the stream. A lot of people have been asking for a full schedule of how things are going to go down in the coming weeks. And the reason why I haven't told you yet about exact timings is that I'm keeping it flexible for artists next week, especially in the afternoons. I want artists to be able to come on and speak to you guys live if possible. That is my number one desire. And if that means shifting a stream half an hour or an hour one way or another, then that's okay. You know, it doesn't matter as long as it still covers the rehearsals. What I can tell you is we are going to be streaming during all of the jury rehearsals. I will be watching those on my second screen over here and telling you what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing live, telling you who's doing well and who's doing badly. This is obviously more important this year because the shows on Monday and Wednesday now actually matter. They actually matter, and that means people need to bring their best. Secondly, we're going to be streaming on the Monday and Wednesday and Friday afternoons as well. These streams are to give you the most descriptive, most complete picture that we can tell you about the staging ahead of time. Because Cynthia and Jay, for those streams, are going to be over there in the Vienna Stadthalle, in the room, watching it all while I am here and reporting back to you. The great thing is this year, because we're accredited, people can actually go and do this on my behalf rather than me having to sort of beg all my friends to send me information in real time. We're also going to be streaming a final preview on the final Saturday. I'm also excited to say on Sunday, so this Sunday in 2 days' time, on Tuesday in the afternoon, Thursday in the afternoon, and then Saturday afternoon, we are going to have James the Model Stevenson presenting us with the live updated version of the model. It changes a lot in Eurovision week, and so we will start to see things happening really quickly. That's super exciting. There's plenty to get through tonight, so I am going to get onto it in a minute. But I firstly just wanted to tell you that I have just been to, today, this evening, there was, in Vienna, there was the Australians were running an event. I heard Delta Goodrem sing that song live. And I have to say, she might be one of the best live vocalists I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely, and I'm not being hyperbolistic, if that's a word. I'm not being hyperbolistic or hyperballistic about this. Delta Goodrem, just the way she makes it seem effortless is really, really quite something. And I am so excited for everyone else to see it. And obviously, we will see the clip tomorrow. As a reminder, we have not looked on this channel yet at half of the semi-final 1 clips, and we haven't looked at any of the semi-final 2 clips. That's where our focus is going to be today. But the way I thought would be good to start with, because we only talked about it a little bit yesterday, there's been much discourse about Finland being allowed to use the violin and play it in parts live. So I thought I've taken some time to gather my thoughts, but also Linda Lampenius, as you know, is very plugged into what's going on in social media. In our interview, she addressed that directly. And so I am going to show that quite early on the stream today. I think we'll also remind ourselves of each of the clips from yesterday. I'll give a brief summary of where my thoughts are. And yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to bring up our dear Eurovision. That's not Eurovision World. That's just a square on the screen. This is a new scene, by the way. I haven't used it for anything yet, but I have designed a scene where it just pops up the thing in the corner like this. It's not really any use for this purpose. I mean, you guys probably want this one. And look, it really tells you a lot about today. Look, it's not even in the frame properly there. Like, it's sticking out the corners. Why has it done that? Let's watch this. You're going to watch this. It's going to shuffle back into place now. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. All right. It's one of those days, huh? Where everything is just a little chaotic. So we will go through all of them again. That's better. And then I need to flick that up. We will go through all of them again, although we are going to be brief on the ones we've already talked about. I've had a bit more time to think about these as well. Whereas yesterday, obviously, it was very much on the spot. We hadn't had a chance to really go through stuff in detail. We were reacting to things live. It doesn't help as well that there's always a big delay before these clips are released. And so we're talking about rehearsals that happened hours ago, but the clips literally drop while we're on stream. If I scroll down here, you'll see we are still waiting for G for the Diva, Eva Maria, and Paloma Rumba, and Søren Terpegard from Denmark. So we will presumably get all 4 of those while we are on air. Don't worry, you don't need to tell me that it's out in chat because we're going to get to it. We're going to go through everything. And yes, for those of you who are joining for the first time, I also want to say welcome. It's really great to see everybody here. It's great to be covering this event in this way again. Please do consider subscribing to the channel if you would like to support what we do here. Obviously, it is a big undertaking for me and my entire team, and we just really, really hope that you enjoy everything that is coming over the next week. Without further ado, and I will remind you that we can't show clips with sound. We'll go through semi-final 1 first. Thank you so much, Luo CM, for the Prime subscription. We'll start with, and I'm going to have to sort of, okay, right, calm down, Acela, just wait a second. I'm going to get all of these clips up as we go, and then we are going to listen to them one by one. Yes, Google, I'm not a robot. All right. So, I will mute this. There we go. We'll go through these one by one, and we will see what we have going on here. I'm really glad on a mobile hotspot connection because that I'm not a robot page displays your IP address. All right, so let's get right on with it. Yeah, we'll have a watch. And I have to say, my first instinct when I saw this, a couple of things. Number one, let's just go back a second to where is the shots? It's right at the very start. This one. There we go. What is this dance move, girl? Like, she's just kind of like voguing along. Like, I'll do it with her. There we go. That was my instant reaction. But more generally, while I don't mind the aesthetic necessarily, I wonder whether the outfit in there we go. She's doing again the little jumpy shoulders. It's very weird for a song called Dancing on the Ice to have the main protagonist doing very little movement whatsoever. And while this effect is really cool, your sort of big, moment in the bridge is only going to come across if you've solved the rest of the song before it. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking at, where is it? Let's get the little shimmy again. Where is it? Have I just missed it completely, or is it later? No, it's earlier, right. Right, there we go. This one. I don't know about, I don't know, man. I see this and I think it's... Mocha Locker says Dua Lipa was her choreographer. It is giving a little bit, you know, I can't do it while sitting down. I've got to stand up. I've never done the Dua Lipa shimmy. I feel like I'm going to do it now in honor of... Is my mouse broken now as well? Gosh, everything really is going wrong today. Yeah, there we go. It works again. Literally, she's given the, you know, and that it's kind of this thing, isn't it? Like, yippee. Sorry, this is already getting very silly. I've only been on about 5 minutes. I will say, and I think the thing is, and we always put an asterisk on vocals. And thank you so much, the one there, for that super chat. And yes, RTBF does suck at staging. I also want to thank Neuro because I missed that message too. Where was I? We should still applaud people who do sound really good in their rehearsal clips, while giving plenty of space to the people who don't, on the basis that it's a rehearsal. Not everyone is going all out. She sounded really good, I thought. And it's the one thing that has, in some ways, made me a little optimistic about this, is the fact that her vocal seems to have dramatically improved every time she performs this. Like, we know that the dancing is a problem. We know that the choreo is a problem. But, to be honest, we have to be, if you are being really brutally clear about what your artist limitations are, if you are having a good look at yourself in the mirror and making a decision based on that, the decision you have to make is to prioritize the vocal, even if it means that it feels a bit odd that she's not dancing, you know, given the meaning of the song. And we also should say that it could be that there are other things that we are yet to see from her, either before or after this, earlier in the song, later in the song. You know, there are surprises still to come. Hunter of Stars says, Greece and Serbia giving NQ and Poland giving top 6 in the semi is absolutely killing me. Like, stage so bad, even the televote magnets are flopping. I disagree on some of what you said. Most of what you said, actually. We'll come back to that. I thought Serbia was really cool, for example, but we will obviously get to that. I am keen to hear your opinions on Belgium, though, for now. Carlos says, Gabe, for next season of Strictly Come Dancing. I don't think I will inflict that on people. My problem is I am extremely stiff. That sounds a bit right. Yeah, I'm extremely stiff. I've always been stiff. Being stiff is a regular problem for me. And seriously, I'm really inflexible. And, like, I can't touch my toes. I've never been able to touch my toes. And that is why often if you see me in videos and stuff where I'm like walking around and stuff, I'm kind of very like, you know, sort of everything is very, yeah. Diego says he's stiff right now. Well, if it lasts for more than 4 hours, you might want to call a doctor. We should do a poll on how we feel about Belgium's qualification hopes. I think, again, we're going to do the, is it more likely to qualify or not qualify at present? So, start poll. Is Belgium more likely to ... Q and Q? I have to say, by the way, doing a stream by myself in the Gabe house at Eurovision is already giving me... Am I allowed to have nostalgia for last year? I know it was literally only last year. But, yeah, I just feel... I when we start doing this again... I remember, like, I mean, most of all, the jury final stream where it was like 5 or 6 hours. It was essentially, you all just witnessed my slow descent into madness, like sitting here while it all slowly, you know, got more and more chaotic. And of course, today has brought the first characteristics of some of the things we saw last year. So let's see what's going on. I am waiting for some poll results, but it looks pretty clear to me at the moment. The Twitch poll was too early, so it has actually had to be started again. Stephen, you got way too excited. Senpai Kush says that thing on her outfit is giving broken neck. It does have a bit of a neck brace thing about it, doesn't it? But I think that wasn't my first impression. Personally. So we will await. Also, will you all forgive me because I have to be honest, we've been so busy today, I haven't eaten. So will you all forgive me if I have some dumplings here and occasionally I eat a dumpling because I would very much like to eat my dumplings. In the meantime, the polls have finished and they say pretty much identical. 82% of you think that Belgium is more likely to not qualify than qualify at present. It has been bouncing around the edge of the odds. This doesn't really surprise me. If we take a quick look, we'll see in semi-final 1, Belgium is currently down there in 14th, actually really struggling to make that San Marino, to make any headway. Thank you so much, Annie. Oh, and I've got some cutlery. There we go. Dumplings. Woo, this is now a mukbang stream. And also a bottle of Coke. Put that there. So occasionally I am going to turn and eat a dumpling, and all of you are going to pretend you didn't see it. Because every man should be able to eat balls in peace. In the meantime, we should... Whoops, I just broke it again. Why has it done that? No, escape. Well, that's not meant to look like that, is it? There we go. I think that's fixed it. Right. Next clip. Croatia. We watched this yesterday, but let's go over in brief again. I'll open it up. Okay, here we go. I have to say, this is one of the ones that impressed me the most, and I think others will agree with me on this. This was really, really stunning. And in particular, you'll see it in the moment, the shots that rapidly switch between the faces. I just think it's the cinema of it is incredible. I just think it is gorgeous. And I really hope that the whole performance is done to that level of cinematography. I also really want to know, obviously, one of them's running off at the end, right? Where's she going? Where is she going? Did she leave the oven on and she's just remembered? Someone says they have a throat infection going around the group, but I am not going to allow myself to be one guide. So unless a bunch of people tell me that, then I'm not going to believe it. But yes, right now, this is one of... And because we went over this yesterday, it's going to be in brief. And also, we're not going to do a poll. But this, right now, I think I feel happy. I feel happy with where this is going. B says that she's bursting for the loo. Lotus Finder says she forgot to lock the car. I'm Steven says she has hantavirus. I really hope not. Apparently, oh, there we go. Judita, one of the girls in the group, said that they had a throat infection. But she's fine now. There we go. So we're going to keep going just because, like I said, with these semi-1 clips, the ones that we've already talked about, I'm not just going to rehash what we did yesterday. That said, I do want to give a moment, as we move on to Estonia, I do want to give a moment for just how wonderfully trashy the slow-mo effect is. We really need to see it again. That said, what I will say is, for those of you who don't know, different countries send over different things to the EBU. Some people send over, Dan Shipton talked about this in the video we did with the Maltese delegation. Some countries send over, wait, there it is. It just looks so silly. Some people send over like exact shots, what they want. They send over a big book that like the Finns did for Lekenheten. They have all of this information. Some countries essentially give a mood board. And that is what I feel like has happened here. You can kind of tell. The shots are generic. There's sort of these panning wide shots that don't do very much. I feel like either you have a really clear vision from the start and you tell them what that vision is, or you don't, then you realize at this point you had a clear vision when it's too late and it's not how you want it. Because there is no way that they'll look at this and think this is exactly how we want it to, for it to go. That said, Hunter of Stars, you've taken the words out of my mouth, and thank you so much for the super chat. I do think it might qualify still. I do think it might qualify because it's so silly and so camp that I feel like it's almost gone all the way around again and it's gone back to sort of being enjoyable. even the slow cook, it's so silly and so messy that it just, I don't know, it just comes together. I've also just remembered that because of the Finnish clip, the Finnish interview, I can play that and then eat my dumplings while it's playing. Cynthia just gave me a look of like, that's a very good idea. So we're going to do that. And the Finnish clip is next. Now, I'm going to do an unusual step here. I am going to turn on the sound for a few seconds because obviously, what is it? It's the same as UMK. But the difference is, and I'll turn it on now just for 5 or 6 seconds. If you haven't heard this already, you need to hear how good this violin sounds. It's so crisp. It is so crisp when it is live, and it sounds so much better. I genuinely think there have been people who are saying that it's not going to make a massive difference. I agree that it doesn't do everything by itself, but I think it just sells the song from this little thing we've seen so much more. I can't wait to see how that chorus line sounds with live violin. We should remember that this is not going to be, she won't be playing live for the entire performance. There are parts that will still be on the backing track, but most of it will be live, and that is really, really exciting. I especially love how, if you listen to the second little lick you can hear in this, what I want you to listen to is the way she plays it live is so different to the record. She sort of does this crescendo at the end of the note, and in my opinion, it feels so much more powerful. Let's listen. Now, I think that little whip of crescendo at the end just immediately adds to the impact of the moment that comes after it. Yeah. The other thing, Surprise Dimple says, Gabe, please, I'm dangerously close to getting pregnant again. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm going to play it again in that case. There we go. Yeah, look at him. Isn't he a handsome man? Yeah, I just think, and I'm trying not to get carried away, I really want to frame this at the moment because I am conscious of, I have to try and separate what I think will happen versus what I want to happen. That's a really important distinction to make. I'm trying to see for now, with this and some of my other favorites, inside the context of this is what will make it sound the best. This is what will make it look the best on stage, rather than this is what will win the Eurovision Song Contest, or this changes the thing that will push them over the line. I just, because also I get conscious of the fact that it can get tiring if I just relentlessly, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. With that in mind, I did get a chance to speak to Linda and Peter. And for that reason, that's not a very flattering shot of me. They look fine, but I'm just there like, I would love to share this interview with you while I eat my dumplings conveniently. And Linda did directly address, it was the first thing we talked about, was the live performance decision, because this interview was conducted yesterday. Timing could not have been any better. So for the next, it's about 12 minutes long, I believe, we are going to play this one. The interview isn't 38 minutes. All of the interviews are combined into one thing to make it easier for me to switch between them when I need them. And she talked about fairness, she talked about everything. So let's listen in. I will interject if I feel it is necessary. In the meantime, I am going to be eating my dumplings as well. So again, don't judge me. Man's got to eat. Here we go. It's not often you get to speak to the artists who have brought your favourite song of the year the day after one of the best pieces of news that they could possibly have brought. But today we have that chance because we are here with Pete Parkkonen and Linda Lampenius. I feel there is no better place to start because in the last 24 hours, it has been confirmed. Linda, you will be able to use your voice, which is your violin, on stage. This was a while in the works. I have to be honest, I didn't think they would allow it.
Me neither.
We never thought about it.
How does it feel? How did it come about? Does it change how you feel about this performance for both of you?
It actually changes now, the feeling, because now we can really do it for real. And the song was written as a duet. So it's there are like two stories, even if we are like in the same story. And there are two voices in this song. And I always sing through my instrument. I never think that I play. And I grew up with singer parents. So singing to me is my way of seeing or feeling music. I sing. and now I get to do it for real, and it also feels so amazing, and we are so thankful because it's historical that this happens, and that we are able to be part of this big thing that might be changing the Eurovision. I hope next year that it will be self-evident that everybody could play. And I actually, now that I hear that some people say that, oh, it's unfair and there are other ones with instruments on stage, I really hope, and I would have hoped that other countries would have applied for it too, because that would have been the most fair, that all of us could have played.
And also there is a phrase, you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes.
And so in a sense, there is that. I am curious, from your perspective, Peter, does it change how you feel on stage?
Yeah, of course it will. It's like you said earlier today, that it's when I speak and you speak, we answer to each other. We're not talking with the computer. So like you said, if I speak like not that loud, or if I yell, you can reply to me like, we can actually have the talk on the stage. And when we get in the point of this very
micro stuff.
Yeah, and we can get more out of it. We can get more feeling out of it. So all the audience there on the sofa can actually get more out of this song and the feeling. So it's very important.
And feel the fact that it's such a passionate kind of argument between two kind of balanced parties. What really helped me understand this is actually, I spoke to Sergio Hayen literally 1 hour ago. And we looked at your UMK performance along with a few others that he's done. And he was sort of talking about the kind of this, like the conductor and the lone violinist in the orchestra pit, and some of the different challenges that come with building a performance around the two of you when you're speaking to each other, but there's this physical distance as well as emotional. For you going through this process, did you find that these were things that that you struggled with? Did it come quite naturally? Because I get the impression that you had, the reason this song exists is because you realized that you had good chemistry on stage before it happened. And so is that the case, that is it difficult at all when you have that physical distance to build that chemistry, or do you feel it comes quite naturally?
Well, it kind of helps because the song is kind of about it.
Yes.
There is this, people say it's cage or wall or whatever people call it, but it's more symbolic way or silence. So we have the symbolic way there, and then we have distanced in there, so it kind of makes it easier to be angry and kind of
why don't I get to you?
Why don't you listen, or why am I talking? So it kind of makes sense.
And you let me come close, but not all the way.
Yeah.
And I really love how that happens in both directions. Like you come to Petter, but there's the sort of the confessional box in between you. He has sinned, and then you return to the stage, and it's the other way around, and he has come to you, and it's sort of the storytelling is so potent and so powerful.
Round and round.
What I really love, one of the things we don't see on camera, is some of the fast movement that you had to achieve this. And you have, for example, Matti from the Finnish team helping you up onto the chair and so on. I honestly, that feels like it probably takes as much rehearsal as any of the on-screen stuff to get it so precise, so on time, every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been running a lot in high heels. It's my life now. It's like high heels again. It was high heels when I was younger. And then I became a mother. No high heels.
But
now I'm running around
back
again.
To the heels.
Yeah,
high heels are back
heels,
again.
High heels, and weights with wearing high heels. I'm training with weights
on the treadmill.
Yeah, on the treadmill, running at the same time. I mean, this is real. It's not just a joke.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I'm glad you say, like you say, you've been running in high heels, either literally or metaphorically, for quite a long time, and Petter as well. Now, 20 years, of making music since Idol was in, it was 2008, and fulfilling the universal thing that it's never the person who wins Idol who then goes on to, it's like One Direction or Little Mix and so on. Actually, Little Mix did, bad example. My point is that Do you feel that this experience is easier despite all the conversation, the betting odds, whatever else, based on the fact that you've performed on these stages before, you've had the time to build up also things like techniques to manage stage fright, anxiety, all the sort of negative things that come with putting yourself out there? Has it made this experience more comfortable for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that you are so cool, but it's probably inside of you that you have this you're very calm, very like peaceful in your mind, sort of. But I'm more like woo, like this, and he's the calm one.
It's like a yin and yang kind of
Yeah,
thing.
we have the balance on the
Yeah,
stage.
because for me, I'm 20 years older than you are, and I've been doing this all around the world since I was 8. So I've been on big stages and done this, but at the same time, I didn't have that kind of calmness in me, you know, that you have when I was 36. So yeah, but you have done it in Finland, like everywhere, and it's big audiences. But for me, like being abroad is not a new thing, or the big audiences abroad. But at the same time, I'm really surprised that you are so chilled.
I think it's the most important thing is that we are so in love what we do.
Yes.
And we know that we are good at it because we practice it every day, and we love to know every day more. I practice because I want to know where to get with this my sound, and you do it the same.
Yeah.
So we are so confident and we know that we can do good. So that makes it doesn't matter if we're playing here to you or for 40,000 people.
No.
We'll make the same thing in here. We'll cry through our instruments to you, so we can actually feel it. So, of course, if we are 80 years old, it'll be more deeper. It'll be more deeper because we get to know every day more into it.
Well, I think it's really beautiful, and it really comes across, especially now that we've heard the first snippets of that violin live as well. And I think it's going to be amazing when we see it next week. To close off, one quick question. That is, we're 10 days away really from the end of this, and it's sort of going to stop as quickly as it begins. What do you want to have taken from this experience? What do you want to achieve over the next week or two for you to look back and go, I'm really glad that we did this? Or have you already achieved it?
Practice every day and think it through every day and talk to it and give us space and see the Vienna. Keep our heads like.
Yeah.
It's very important that we actually are here 2.5 weeks so we can breathe
a little bit.
Breathe a little
Less
bit.
intense
It's not
in some
every
ways,
day, so we can actually give space and go for a run. Or I played golf 2 days ago and kind of like get into this. Everything what we do is very important every day.
Yes, but regardless of if we end up 10th or 15th or 5th or win, this is, in a way, it feels like we have already won, what we wanted to do with this, because it has become exactly, it was very important to both of us that it's in Finnish, and we have managed to do it in the Finnish language, even if people don't know exactly the words, they don't understand it, but they get the feeling, and that's the most important thing. And we have managed to make also also the stage thing, the number, everything exactly how we wanted it to be, and we have already gotten into so many people's hearts with this Finnish number. We are so proud of being able to be out here as Finns.
Yeah, we're happy already.
Yeah, we are
Happy with this.
No.
Well, I am obviously extremely excited. I am not going to make any predictions because I don't want to curse anything, but I very much hope that the result is an extremely positive one. We'll be rooting for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you for coming here.
And we hope very much that we will be seeing a lot of you beyond the final next Saturday. Let's put it like that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
take care.
So that was Linda Lampenius and Pete Parkkonen. That is Leleka. We'll come to her later. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to pop back so that we're all on screen together. Firstly, let's address the elephant in the room, the most important thing, the thing that everyone is talking about this song right now, which is, how is it legal for a man to look like that and have a voice like that? That's the first thing, and I could see in chat that there was some people having some struggles along there. The second thing is the violin, and this is now a really good opportunity for us to have this discussion. So Linda, I think it's tough. It's really, really tough, I think, to be in their position, because ultimately, as I said at the start, if you don't ask, you don't get. They asked, the EBU could have chosen to say no, they said yes. So the first thing is, if you're frustrated about this, if you're upset about this, you shouldn't direct it towards these two. You should direct it towards the contest at large, if you feel that it is a wrong decision. And these two do not deserve any of the kind of some of the flack that they've gotten for this decision. The other thing is, I will say, and I am curious to know what everyone else thinks of this, we have reached a point, technically, I feel it is time for instruments to start to re-emerge into Eurovision a little bit. We're never going to have full bands. It's just not possible. You can't mic up a full band in 48 seconds. But you can mic up a violin. You know, we saw it with the harmonica last year. We did wonder, after Lucio Corsi did that with the harmonica, what effect it would have. And looking back, that's an extremely influential Eurovision performance, because obviously people are now bringing out subtitles more as well. Grackle, thank you so much for that super chat. I'm going to come to it in a moment. I feel, for me personally, I will say we are all coloured by our biases. For me personally, as someone who loves this song and loves this performance, I am delighted because it will make it better. It will enhance it. Do I want that opportunity to be available to everyone? Yes, and it should be. We don't know who asked, when they asked, what the process was. We don't know if others had the same thing in rehearsals where they tried it and then it wasn't feasible, because we shouldn't forget that the way this has happened, when they came to Vienna, they genuinely didn't know if Linda would be allowed to play or not. What had been agreed, and it is within the rules, because there is, and it says something like, for exceptional artistic reasons, you can play an instrument. They came to Vienna, working with the host broadcaster. They presumably tested it in rehearsal to see if it was doable. They then will have looked back at the clips we've seen at the first rehearsal, which we haven't seen, and they will have gone, okay, yeah, it works. Therefore, it fits within the rules because the organisers have agreed that it is of exceptional, an exceptional artistic reason. That's number one. Number two, on a technical side, ORF felt that it was feasible within the existing constraints without giving them any extra time. The thing, and I deliberately framed it in this way in this interview, and it makes my opinion on this very clear, of course, is that, I opened by saying, Linda, we will hear your voice. Because as others are saying in chat, she is, it feels almost sad to take one of the world's best violinists, put her on the Eurovision stage, and then get her to mime. I really think that it is good for the contest to have the world's best musicians playing their instruments for real on stage. I would love to see the world, lots of different instruments present. I mean, think about it, for example, instruments that can be mic'd with a single microphone. I mean, I have to say, obviously, it's a lot less serious example, but one can't help but wonder, Sunstroke Project come back again and Epic Sax Guy plays live on the Eurovision stage for the first time. It's a silly example, but there are lots of different instruments where you could mic them up in this way, no additional time, no additional technical overhead, and it gives people another option to make their performance pop on stage. The other thing is, if this is an option given early enough, and now delegations will be wise to it, so if they want it, they will ask early. This is the other thing, is that if you are a delegation with a limited budget, this is a live effect that if it's available to you, it can be done very cheaply. It does not cost anything because it's the artist with their own instrument on stage. And so it has occurred to me that there is an angle here for smaller delegations to have more opportunities to distinguish themselves. And so I think that's worth a mention too as well. We're constantly looking for ways to level the playing field. I know it feels like the opposite right now in terms of this year because she's the first one, but in future years, I think there's a lot of exciting potential here. Grackle, I just want to go back to your super chat, which I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Says, I think an important part of Who Plays Live Instruments discourse is that with the others, they are also singing with their voices, whereas the violin is Linda's voice, and muting that is basically muting her voice. Yes, I think for me, that feels like it's an argument I agree with. I still feel it is, it's one that comes from, emotion. I think also there is elevated scrutiny on the basis that this is a favorite this year, and naturally that makes people very sensitive to these things. I am really keen to hear your thoughts though. I think for me personally, in an ideal world, I would love as many people playing live instruments as possible. I think, from someone who loves this song, I think it'll make this performance even better, and that makes me really excited. So I just think I personally support the decision, and I think it's a good decision. Charlie asks, as fragile as this sounds, do you really believe in the majority of artists who perform acoustic instruments to consistently show up as Linda does, ability-wise? I understand this sounds like an exception, but it's realistic. I mean, it's tough because I feel like you can't really, it's not for the organizers of the contest to decide who is technically worthy. I think there's no argument that Linda Lampenius is a world-class musician, but it's not, you can't make a value judgment in that way. I think you have to make it purely based on whether it is essential to the song or a key part of the song. That's number one. And number two, if it's technically feasible. I think if it's those two things that are both ticked, then the default position should be to say, how can we make this work? It is ultimately someone's own choice. If they want to take that risk, if they get on stage and sound terrible, whether it's with their voice or whether it's with an instrument that has gone through this process, that will then have its effect in turn. If they sound bad, they will do worse in the voting, right? These things have natural balancing effects that means that I think people will only do it when they really want to make it a cornerstone of their performance. I know it's more difficult with guitars, for example, but the other thing is that I can't help but shake the romance of a guitar solo live on the Eurovision stage. Like, how cool would that be? I know that we're now getting into kind of more sort of further out exceptions, but that's just, that's how I feel. But yeah, and as we said, like, we should remember, again, in fairness to Linda and Peter, they said it in the interview. They didn't expect this request to be approved. And I think that is worth noting as well. I've just adjusted my lighting because I was starting to go a little bit yellow there. So that's my take on that. I am not going to do a poll on this because I think it encourages the framing of the debate being, should this one specific song have this, is not the right framing of the debate. There is a wider conversation here about instruments in the contest that I think needs to be had now. And I think this moving in this way, the EBU will have known what precedent it sets. I have to say I would be really shocked if doing this, they wouldn't expect to do this 10 times next year. Or maybe not 10, but 5 times next year. And we will have to see. In any case, we have lots more interviews and lots more rehearsal clips to go through. So we are going to keep moving. From that to one that I think people are a little more worried about, which is Georgia. The costumes have drawn some unfavorable comparisons. Maybe they're going to try something different on the actual Eurovision stage. Let's see. But I much preferred what they were doing in the music video. I might try and show you guys them later, actually, just for comparison. The stage feels empty. This wide shot, some of these wide shots just really don't work. The choreo is a little junior Eurovision, which is not surprising because they were in junior Eurovision, and the songwriter, Gigi Kokonadze, is predominantly a junior Eurovision songwriter. But if we look at the let's open this up at the video, for example. Hopefully this won't play with sound. Yeah. And we look at the aesthetics of this. Let me click through to it and just see how different it is. But also, the song has this kind of slight foreboding to it. In my opinion, everything is so much more effective here. The costumes, the styling, everything. I feel like keeping it with this energy would have been a more effective approach. Someone asks if it's a Blahoy in the background. Yes, it is. And it's wearing the illegal pink insufficient reach hat that cannot be bought. This was a sample that we saw and decided we weren't going to sell in that color. We haven't named the Blahoy yet, though, so if you have any suggestions, let me know. But yeah, so I have to say, and I think I'm not the only one here, is that I was disappointed by this rehearsal clip. It didn't have the stylistic features that made me enjoy the studio version and enjoy the music video as an experience. And I also think, and as you saw, there were dancers before. We should have had dancers here as well. People say that I can't pronounce, I'm going to say Blahaj now. Just somebody, if there's a Swede in chat, please tell me. Somebody says it's Bzika Bova, which I have to say I prefer to when someone earlier said mukbangaranga when I was eating my dumplings. I still have a few of those left, but I'll finish them later. Yeah, so it's not working for me at the moment. I feel like I'm not the only one who thinks this. I feel like this is a common thing. Now, next is Greece. And I saw some discourse in the comments of the previous stream and I about this. And it was interesting because on one hand, I've been seeing people expressing their disappointment that they think that the AI has been used in this. On the other hand, there were people people suggesting that I had been too quick to jump to a conclusion on it. And I have to say, and for those of you who are watching on Wednesday and who have a strong opinion about this, I was a little bit confused by that because I very deliberately on that stream, when we just talked about Bzika B, said, okay, I was too quick to think that that was AI and therefore I'm going to not say it for sure until I'm 100% certain. And that was why on that stream I was kind of like, I don't know, I want to look at it more. And for that reason, I just... what I will say is for the remainder of this experience, except when it's completely confirmed, I'm going to be very deliberately, very cautious, even more so than I was already thinking about being, about saying that things are AI generated. We're going to have a little look at this again. And I think this is one where the feeling is not that it has come together at the moment. And I think it would be fair enough for people to generally say that they agree with that, right? There are cool elements to this, and the thing that I do like, and I'm still not sure if it's a prop or a projection, is this here. This was my favorite part of this clip, and it's the one thing that gives me the most hope. It's clear this is going to need crowd energy. It's clear that the vocal needs to be better when he does it live, in the semifinals. But if we see some more cool tricks and stuff in this, it could bring it back up again. We should say, I seem to remember reading a description about this where there was 4 different video games. This is one. This feels like a portal. So I'm going to say that this is video game 1. This is a portal. And I guess maybe he's walking out into video game 2. It is a prop. It's a hexagonal mirror tunnel. I do wonder, who do you commission for this? Like, who do you go to and say, hey, I need you to make a hexagonal mirror tunnel? And then someone is just going to go like, hey, yeah, sure. Why not? You got it. Charlie asks, could we look at the photo description? I think, yes, I should be able to find that somewhere. I'm going to quickly take this off screen so that I can find it. Yes, we can look at the photo description, just to be sure. We need the day 1 mega threads. Total side note, but I don't know if anyone's been watching Married at First Sight, Australia. If so, I'm shocked and appalled by the behaviour of some of the people on that show. I know it's totally unrelated to what we're doing here, but I just think it's outrageous. This is day 4, official Eurovision Reddit account. God, why they're I was about to say why are they posting so much, but of course they're posting so much. It's the Eurovision account. There we are. Posts. Right, so day 4, day 3, day 2, day 1, mega thread. This is what we're looking for. Let's have a little look at that Greece description just to try and get some more context on what we've seen. So, our Greek hero Achilles turns into a tiger on the Wiener Stadthalle stage. They talk about the dress sense. He wants to introduce you to some new characters. So there are people we haven't seen yet, one would presume. It doesn't say anything about how many there are. But what I will say is we could see from one of the photos that he was elevated on the stage when he was doing the sort of address to his mother in the bridge. So there is at least one prop we haven't seen yet with this. That's the point I'm getting at. Amelia says, I think the AI alleged is off-putting to Eurofans, but I don't know if the general public will care. It's hard to gauge public opinion on AI. I think it's less a question of whether people will like it or not in terms of the concept of AI. I think in real time to most of the audience, it happens so fast that people wouldn't even be able to gauge it. And for that reason, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. It doesn't make it right. And I think if I could, I would sort of push all the generative AI out of the contest. I think the thing is this in particular is something that's so difficult to regulate, and so difficult to eliminate entirely. In any case, we did already talk about this yesterday. I think there's things to be excited about. There's things to be unexcited about. Israel. We have a policy of not covering Israel on this channel. So let me just quickly say that the indication is that the advertising campaigns have returned. They are in the same studio with the same wording and the same messages on screen. And we are supposed to believe that the same Israeli government isn't behind this one when they were behind the last one and the one before that. What I want to know is, how do you think anyone is going to believe if they end up winning this thing illegitimately, because any Israeli win would be illegitimate? How are you going to make people believe that it was legitimate when your prop looks as shit as that? Have you seen that thing? It is tacky as hell. Anyway, I just wanted to say that we're not going to stick on Israel because they do not deserve to be here. They don't, and I don't want to cover them. I've been very, very clear about this. But God, is that thing ugly? But yeah, one thing we are going to do this week, because it's clear now from what we've seen today already that there is going to be this same attempt to manufacture a high televote score again, is we are going to be even more unflinching than before in calling it what it is. And I think it's very important to understand, as all of us do, in any normal circumstances, this is not a song that would be anywhere near the top of the leaderboard. It's not a great song by any means. We need to really laser in on the fact that in many ways, Israel kind of cannot win this contest. And I don't mean that in a sense of, they cannot win, although also it would be terrible for the contest if they won, potentially fatal if they did. But also, I don't think, and this is their own doing, there's no way for them to win legitimately now, because they've poisoned the well. I think it was Overthinking It that said this, once you dilute it in this way, even a little bit, you can never be viewed as legitimate. And I actually think it's a massive propaganda failure for Israel that they have so brazenly manipulated this competition that now nobody, even their supporters, believe that their scores are legitimate. There is nobody who looks at that score last year and says it is legitimate in good faith. Anyone who says they are is lying to you. And I just think it's incredible the way that this contest has been such a powerful soft power tool for Israel. And I think they have actually massively undermined it massively undermined its use to them by cheating in this way and being brazen in this way. And it shows not only are they totally incompatible with the values of this contest, as any country that commits a widely documented genocide is, they are also totally clueless about how it functions. So yeah, great job, you idiots. You've destroyed your own soft power platform by being so ridiculously over the top with this. Ugh, anyway. There'll be more rants this week. Someone says it's not a genocide, mate. Well, you can tell Israeli human rights organizations, the WHO, Amnesty International, the UN. I can go on and on and on. The International Association of Genocide Scholars. I consider myself to be stating a fact that is backed up by experts and backed up by people who deal with these things all the time. You can argue with that if you want. But you can go and argue with all of those people. And when the premier Israeli human rights organization drops a report entitled Our Genocide, I think at that point, you have to realize that the legs have been cut off from your argument. It's extremely well documented. And you are in denial if you think otherwise. God, anyway, we're going to be talking lots about this week. I think it's not a topic we're going to flinch away from. But I think before I get totally lost in it, because it is obviously it makes me angry as it makes all of you angry, I think best to move on and to keep on going. We obviously have lots of things to talk about, and I have already done an hour of this stream. In any case, hopefully that makes, for those of you who knew, my position on this is very clear and has not shifted one bit. Let's have a look at Lithuania. Now, this doesn't tell us very much, but I would like to know what everyone thinks about this because I love this song. I'm going to be biased about this, and it's actually one where I kind of want to amplify what some of you think about this because I love this song so much. It really means so much to me, and I think the clip is really cool. I love the color scheme. I love some of these shots. But I want to sense check this with people who like this less than me. So I am currently asking for people who feel that this song is just okay. Please tell me if you liked this rehearsal clip. Those are the people whose thoughts I'm interested in right now. Those who are open to this song, but who hadn't been sold on it yet. If you're one of those people, tell me how you feel about it in chat. And let's see. I can see a sort of variation in different things and different opinions. Most people seem to say either they hate it or they really like it. The divisiveness, I think, is good. And some people, Time G37, for example, says it kind of cooked. Personally, I think it kind of cooked. Is it a little empty? Potentially. One thing I was worried about is this piece here on the right. It is such a central part of it. I just really, really hope that they have done it in such a way that it is a figure in the performance. One thing I noticed, if you look in one of the images from Lion Seeker's rehearsal, there's a moment where he reaches out and it looks like he's almost as if it's, because of the perspective, it's as if he's holding it in his hand. What I would love to see is that to be the moment where it collapses, like it did at the national selection. I'm going to do a 4-option poll about the staging for people who liked this before and for people who didn't like this before. I just want to see where people are at. So give me a second to write this in. So do you like the look of this staging? And it's going to be don't like the song, yes. Don't like the song, no. Do like the song, yes. Do like the song, no. Let me type for a second. Yes. Typing so fast. All right, 4-option poll. Let's go. Meanwhile, on Twitch, the poll was, did he cook? And he cooked, got 90%. He's cooked, got 10%. Let's see where we end up with this. I'm curious to see, basically, if there is some appeal to people who weren't open to this before or people who were not sure about it. Neurocantata says, this is high art to me, but I know it's divisive. Yeah, I do think it's one of its strengths that it is divisive. But yeah, like I said. Gilbert asked, Gabe is Jewish? Someone said so in chat. Yes, I am indeed Jewish. So yeah, that whole, it was Let me tell you now, it was quite something emotionally. When I first did the Israel video 2 years ago, that was quite a big moment for me. I do think one thing I'm in a bizarre way grateful for the contest the last few years for is it's enabled me to find my voice better on this issue. And I talk about this more openly and more bravely than I've ever been able to because I had the contest as a prism to do it through. It's a weird thing, but you can find ways to express yourselves in unexpected places. And on that much wider geopolitical issue, in a bizarre way, the contest helped enable me to do that. I would much rather have had Israel removed from the contest, but I have found a way to talk about this more in a way that makes me feel more able to speak for what I think is right through this medium of the contest. Let's look at this poll now. I can see the results are coming in now. So by a margin of about 5-1, people who liked the song before like the staging. What's interesting is from the people who don't like the song, they have said with a margin of 2-1 that they also like this staging. So I'm interested to see whether, if the concept is executed well, that it could win some people over who are kind of like, I don't get it, and who have maybe not seen what they need to see from it yet. Maybe they will soon. I do think, again, it is this kind of very conceptual, high art kind of thing that doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And I do understand why some people might feel like, I don't get it. I need something else. It's almost too much on him. But for me, I think it's a really clear qualifier. Let's keep going. And we have Moldova next. And let me tell you this now, to calm some nerves, about the robotic vocals, which I will quickly play for those of you who don't know. So listen to this quickly. So, the robotic vocals. I have it on good authority that it's going to be fixed by the time we get to the semi-final. Don't worry about the vocals right now. Focus more on the other things. And we should talk, and I'm going to poll about this on a minute, about the unsteady cam here. Personally, I'm a fan. I quite like it. And I do wonder whether, because this is the second chorus, I wonder whether we'll have any other unsteady cam with crowd behind, because I think that will be a really impactful shot. I like it because I think this song, the charm of this is that it's rough around the edges, right? And that it's this kind of, what's the word? It's this kind of like rough and ready, kind of, unfiltered. It makes it feel unfiltered. It makes it feel real. And I really enjoy that they've brought that in. It might be that they can reduce the shaking slightly to make it easier to focus on their faces. I do agree that it is a lot of movement, like especially here with where Lana is in this shot. You don't get up through this shot. You don't really get a good read on her facial expression, and I would like to get that a little bit more. In any case, yeah, they're going to fix the vocals, and I assume that will apply to everyone. So stop worrying. Everything is fine. Essentially, someone in chat is like, the Jiva rehearsal is out. We'll come to it. Okay, we have a long way to go. This is another one we talked about before, so I am going to do a quick poll on whether they should keep or get rid of the steady cam, and then we're going to move on. So, the unsteady cam even. Unsteady cam. Keep, get rid. There we go. Those are your options. Start voting now. In case you didn't notice, like when I'm by myself, the second featured person on this stream is essentially Paul. This is a stream with me and Paul, and yeah. And speaking of which, you can vote now, and you have about 30 seconds to do so. I just want to say to everyone while you're doing this, if you've already voted and you're waiting for the results to come through, if you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button on the channel. One thing that would be my big goal for this week would be to get to 60,000 subscribers. Right now we have 57,400. 60,000 would feel like a really big milestone. So if you haven't already, I would massively appreciate it. And that would be a really cool thing to do. The ultimate goal, I would say, is eventually I would love to get a play button That requires 100,000. Bit further away. Let's maybe see how far we get. Maybe we can have that one day. So we are going to end the poll, and overwhelmingly, you want the shaky cam to stay. So 72% say keep, 28% get rid on YouTube. On Twitch, they got 3 options. Like it, but tone it down, 62%. Like it, 26%. Don't like it, 12%. I do think that might be the best thing to do, is to keep the concept, but reduce the shake a little bit, just to make people feel more, in line with, with it. Because at the moment, maybe it's not quite hitting it. And thank you so much to the 15 people who just subscribed after I said that. I appreciate that very much. For what it's worth, I think Moldova will be fine. Let's move on to Montenegro. And again, this is one we talked about yesterday, so I'm going to keep it brief and then we'll move on. What I will say is that I really love some of the... I actually really like the stylistic choices. I really love some of Tamara's look into the camera, and there's a shot which I'm going to point out to you in a moment, which I particularly am in love with, when it brings it down to here, this one. And she does this kind of, snarl at the camera. I think it really sells the vibe of the song. And yeah, I'm honestly, given what else is happening in semi-final 1 at the moment, I am feeling increasingly optimistic about this. She just kind of has the right aura for it. Like, she has the ability to sell this song in a way that actually a lot of people don't. Pax, thank you so much for that subscription over on Twitch. And yeah, if this is extrapolated out to the whole song, then I'm very happy. The other thing that I noticed with this is that they really, really chose camera angles well here to hide the fact that the 5 of them are essentially standing still on stage, all very close together. There's a couple, I'm not sure where you kind of see that they're very centered in, but we stay away from the kind of wide shots that would make them look very lonely. Think about this compared to the 3 members of Bzikabi, and just think about how differently it is shot. Having seen all of this, where you have these tight angles, these ones are as wide as it gets, with the exception of the one big long shot where they go overhead. Now, compare that, and I'll go back to Georgia for a second to demonstrate this. Compare it to, whoops, I accidentally took it away. Compare it to this, where we're in and then we're out, and we're so far out, and all you can see is space. It's a really good example of how to stage something right, how to do the right thing with something, and avoid traps like that make it seem like it's just not really working. Yeah, I think Montenegro are doing a really nice job. Like I said, we're going to keep going. And now we have one that I don't believe we've looked at yet. And I have to say, you guys know how I feel about this song. There is an element to this of maximizing something, of making something as good as it can be. And you know what? I love the prop. I think they've done this really, really nicely. And I'm starting to wonder now whether it might qualify. She sounds great. We expected that. She was always going to sound great. But like the way the staging is done, it's such a nice way to shrink the stage, but also to turn it into something that just works so nicely. I mean, I really, really love what they have done here. And yeah, so I have to say, it may be that I have to add Alicia to my list of people who I owe an apology after the semi-final, because I said that it was dead on arrival. We should say, and if you look at these odds, I'm not the only one who thinks that this is dramatically improved. There she is, up in 9th. She never entered the top 10 to qualify until just now, when this clip came out. I will say that nothing is going to make me like the song. That not even the verses, a la wee wee blogs. I joke, but it's never going to be for me. But this feels like the way to stage it as best she could. Rebecca says, she said / yes, indeed. I'm going to do a poll. And the poll is going to be whether you think it's more likely or not that Poland is going to qualify. So I'm going to write that now. Poland more likely to ... and then Q and NQ. Start poll. Right, so we have a few seconds left to do this poll, so please keep voting if you haven't already. I see already 400 of you have. And Sticky Sounds, thank you very much for that subscription over on Twitch. If you do want to financially support the channel, there's a bunch of ways to do that. Subscribing on Twitch is one of them. You can donate directly using the links in the description. You can do super chats on YouTube. You can sign up to my Patreon. That's actually the most efficient way to do it because Patreon give a much larger cut than YouTube and Twitch do. But it's really up to you. If you feel that you wish to do that, then thank you very much. I've just been presented with a Tim Tam. I'm not really sure how this is relevant to the current discussion. But while you're finishing voting in the poll, this is, I guess, an Australian thing. When we get to Delta Goodrem later, well, we don't have a clip for her, but I'll try the Tim Tam. I don't know what this is, but if there's any Australians here, feel free to enlighten me. They were handing them out at the Australian Embassy event earlier. Right, the poll is finished, and 58% of you on YouTube are saying that it's more likely that you'll qualify than not qualify. I can't see the result on Twitch because the poll disappeared already. But I imagine it was somewhat similar. Anyone on Twitch, if you remember the result, please post it again for me. I have to say I'm really surprised because we did polls on this song earlier in the season, and much like Vanilla Ninja, where it was a 50-50 split in chat on whether they qualify or not, people felt that this had no chance of qualifying. Okay, Twitch was split evenly. So you feel optimistic about this at the moment. And you know what? I have to say, I didn't expect to be saying this. So do I. I don't really have many comments on what I changed. Let's watch it one more time. As a reminder, we of course cannot watch with sound. And the reason for that is that obviously the sound is the intellectual property of the artist, and the stream would get demonetized or potentially taken down if there was repeated detections of copyright music. We can play a few seconds, and I mean a few, but nothing more than that. But with this, we can look at the rehearsal clip, we can criticize and commentate on it, and that's completely fair use. That's all good. Also, this outfit, when I saw it before, I didn't like it all that much. Now I see it in the context, you know what? I like it more. And I really like how they've done her hair. I think the fact that they've kind of softened her image a little bit, it feels like. So the song still has the punch for people who enjoy it. But on the flip side, I don't know, there's something about her that just seems a little more vulnerable, a little more connecting than what we saw before. And that's obviously a really good thing too. Let's keep going. The time is 9:17. So we have loads of time to go through. Well, we have 4 more in semi-final 1, and then we have loads in semi 2. And if I refresh this page, we have all of them except for Armenia and Luxembourg. It would be so on brand for Armenia's to be the very last one that comes out, but we will go through the entire set today. As a reminder, we have these 5 tomorrow, but we do have interviews to show you today with the Ukrainian and Norwegian participants, Leleka and Jonas Lovv. I will do the next one once we finish semi-final 1. Let's look at the remaining clips, and let's start with Portugal. And I have to say, I've been seeing some funny things on the Discord recently. And I'm going to ask someone on the Discord, please send me a bunch of the Bandidos de Canta memes, because everyone needs to see them. As for the staging, you know what? They don't move at all. They don't seem to engage with each other at all. But for what it is, I have to say I do not mind it. I think, obviously I like the song. And I love all the standing man emojis in chat right now. Obviously I like the song, but I just feel like they've done something that feels... Maybe it's comfortable for them just to focus completely on the... to completely focus on the singing of the song. I do wish that they'd sort of done a circle like they did, or a half circle, like they did with Morrow in 2022. I think that would have been the nicest thing to do. But unfortunately, they didn't. And so we have this instead. I would have said that this was qualifying, but because Portugal was quite good, Estonia was so bad that I think it was kind of entertaining, and Montenegro was good, I do think there's maybe a challenge here. One thing I'm going to draw attention to as well is that people are pointing out that the violin has a microphone, and we'll talk about that in a moment. People are talking about the fact they get lost in the stage. And I would say that, I mean, you look at this shot. Firstly, the stage is so narrow that you have, I mean, look along the left and right, all of this wasted space, which doesn't contribute in any way at all. In fact, if anything, those lights on the left are distracting. And even just taking the central section, they occupy such a small amount of the screen all the way through this shot. I don't know, this kind of feels like wasted time for a song that depends so much on a human connection to have these big, long, shots where nothing's really happening. Like, if we go back to the start, we get a close-up with the violinist, and who obviously has a microphone on, I think probably just to sync with the, so she can hear what's going on. She can hear herself playing. I don't think that we're actually going to be getting a live violin there, because we would have heard about it already. But this whole clip, we do not see their faces in detail once. This is a sixth of the song, remember. We stay wide, we get a little closer. Are we going to see them close up? Are we going to get any kind of FaceTime? No. We stop here and we pull away again. And that is something that, if it's reflected throughout the performance, will have a serious negative effect. We need to connect with these guys. They need to sort of lean into this archetype of, oh, the nice boy is singing the nice song from next door that's very wholesome, that's very sweet, things like this, And I just think we haven't got that yet. Fabiola says they're dancing on the ice. So there we are. Portugal allegedly asked to have the violin live following Linda's approval. I think the thing I would say, again, on this violin thing, it's clear to me, and from what the EBU has said, they've deliberately stressed it, right? This request was clearly made immediately after UMK. Like, it clearly happened really, really early at a stage in the process, before even stand-ins had happened, where ORF could, in theory, prepare for it. I don't know the details. This, if they just asked now, you can't ask after your second rehearsal for a change as major as that requires multiple run-throughs on stage to get right. Rehearsal 1, they run through the song 3 times. So, Surprise Dimple says it's still not too late to add some Simon dance moves to this performance. Maybe we could add the... let's see if it works. Maybe we can add the Esila shuffle to this. I'll turn on the sound for a second. Does this work? No, it doesn't. Well, it was worth a try. You know what? My fiance is sat across the room, and she's currently looking at me like I've completely lost my mind. And she's nodding. So there we go. We can add the full on Dua Lipa, shaky thing. Indeed, someone said booty, so fat. I am actually going to be Arlena's backing dancer. She has been announced as the latest interval act. They've been having a lot of trouble getting people this year, so we're going to have a mashup for the grand final of Informer by Loco Boombox, Booty by Arlena, and Mea Kundame's Ux Korsakov Laxele Letti by Winnie Pooh. That is going to be our big interval act. Someone says, I'm now a lesbian. Congratulations. I'm not sure how that's relevant. Let's move on to the living, breathing embodiment of why are they doing all of that. So this is San Marino, where, as far as I can tell, they've gone for just everything. The throne is... Okay. We're going to put aside the jokes and stuff for today. I actually really want to know how familiar people outside of the English-speaking world were with Boy George before this. Because I feel like Flowrider is someone who, at least of a certain generation, I say that, my generation, are obviously extremely familiar with Flowrider. Like, some of those songs that he had were hits all over the world when we were teenagers. But to be honest, I don't know how prominent Boy George is outside of the English-speaking world, and I don't know how prominent he is with people under the age of, say, 35 or 40. We can do an informal kind of look at this. I'm going to do a poll. Basically, the poll is going to be based on, is English is my first language or not? Have I heard of Boy George? So before Eurovision, were you familiar with Boy George? And then I am going to add lots of options. Okay, so yes, English native speaker. No, English native speaker. Yes, English second language. I presume all of you here speak English, otherwise it wouldn't make much sense for you to be here. You wouldn't know what I was talking about. And then no, English second language. All right, here comes your poll. Start voting now. Because this is the thing that I really noticed when the announcement was made. Obviously, we immediately had the discourse about some of the very sizable skeletons in his closet. But there was also this thing about this doesn't feel like a Flow Rider in terms of the kind of thing that would make people go, oh, wow, what on earth? That's Flow Rider, you know? I don't think that's going to have the same effect with Boy George. So, instantly we're seeing the effect. Most people here who speak English as a native language, and already 850 of you have voted, most of you who speak English as a native language, by a margin of just over 2-1, were familiar with Boy George before Eurovision. But of those who don't speak English as a first language, the majority of you, it's no, you didn't know him before this. But it's about, the ratio is about 3-4. So I'm going to close that poll now. What that says to me is that this is something that, okay, maybe for the UK, and if Ireland was in the competition, maybe for Ireland, there will be a generation that will see Boy George and go, oh my God, it's Boy George. And somewhat in Australia as well, because he was a judge on The Voice there. For most of Europe, I think people are going to raise their eyebrows a bit and be like, who's this guy? Like, I don't know this person. As for the stage elements, I mean, this truly is, we've reached a singularity. You know how you have matter and antimatter, and if they ever meet, they explode? We have the Nothing Burger song and the Everything Bagel staging, and I'm wondering if they hit, that a black hole will just be like created in the arena, and it will swallow the entirety of Eurovision, including myself, up, because I'll be in the press centre, I'll be next door, so I'm definitely at risk. It's the staging is doing so much heavy lifting in terms of, so much colour, so much, disco, I just, it's strange to me. It is strange to me. And if the rumours are true and Senate's wife is the one paying for all of this, that's one expensive bill that's going to be coming through at the end of this entire process. So, I am going to give you a poll. I don't think we gave a poll yesterday. Someone said, I'm 18 and I recognise Boy George more than Flow Rider. Yeah, if you're 18, I think you're too young for Flow Rider. But I think in 2021, that was the right point at which people who were 18 then remembered him, and people who were in their early 20s like me were like, oh, that's the guy who was like singing my entire teenage years. Right. Is San Marino more likely to? Q and Q. Let's see what happens. Mellow Skulls asks, did you know about the Josh Hutcherson whistle meme, Gabe? Yes, of course I did. Of course I did. Of course I did. All right, we are now just going to allow that poll to play out. And I have to say, it's pretty conclusive. If you haven't already, take advantage of your opportunity to avail yourself of the satisfaction of pressing a button. You can press the fun button and join in the poll, and you can make me happy and make everyone else happy as well. the Twitch poll is moving really, really slowly. And what is really impressive to me is over half of the people who have voted in it have gone for the bonus "It Will Come Last" option. Kyle Alessandro Hive says, "True love is Sennett's wife funding her Eurovision dreams. Hashtag need that." No, true love. True love is what I have for my fiance as well. It's her birthday, by the way, in 2 hours and 31 minutes. So we're all going to say happy birthday, Cynthia, in chat right now while we're waiting for this poll to finish. So we have maybe 30 more seconds to do this, in which time... yes, there we go. They're starting to do it now, honey. Maybe if this stream overruns horribly, I don't think it's going to end up going to midnight. But if it did, we will sing at midnight. It probably won't.
Why is it doing Superstar?
Why is Cynthia is asking why I've done this during Superstar. Well, honey, it's because you are the superstar.
Thank you.
So everyone is saying happy birthday. Everyone is very cheery. What they're not cheery about are San Marino's prospects in Eurovision. 94% of you say this is not qualifying on YouTube. On Twitch, it is 99%. 99% of you say that this is not qualifying on Twitch. You want to know how many people said that this will qualify? 1. Literally 1. That's about as conclusive as we could ever reasonably expect to get. Wow, okay. 99%. Who is the one person? Reveal yourself. Who is the one person who thinks this is going to qualify? Pax asks, is your fiancé as invested in Eurovision as you? Put it this way, we met in the queue for a Carrier show at 6 o'clock in the morning. The show started at 8 p.m. That tells you all you need to know. Let's move on to the next one, which is Serbia. Now, how glad am I, before we play this, that what we saw today was this rather than Zaina spinning around like a helicopter. Here we go. So what I will say is, this is one that you really lose a lot by not having the vocal, which sounds really good. I have to say at the moment, this is doing for me what I really, really wanted it to do. It's doing for me what I wanted it to do. The only thing I'm not sure about is just here, where they're just kind of all stood and he's just kind of reaching into the air. I don't like this shot. Everything else about this, I am really, really happy with. I'm guessing the sword will be more on fire than that at a later date, because it was only a tiny little bit on fire. There we go. You can see it's just like, and then it cuts away and then it comes back and it's like there's a tiny little just wisp of flame. But I have to say that I look back to 2018 and AWS, and the last time that we got like a kind of... I'm going to find this video for you actually by scrolling way back on my Instagram. The last time we got a kind of true, you know, in that sense, like a metal song like this. By the way, go follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. The link's in the description. And I just hit 5,000 followers. And I want to... And I was in the room for that. Maybe people don't know this, but if I put this on screen... This... Eurovision 2018. ...380 weeks ago, and this was the... Sorry, that was probably super, super loud. But this drop, and I'm going to play it in a second, is the last time we got something as good as this. I liked Lord of the Lost, but it didn't hit this hard. And for that reason, I think this is going to qualify because this qualified. And, I mean, I remember how this felt so much. Anyway, point is, I really love that. I just wanted to show you that, and the fact that this is channeling for that for me, it's just giving me this kind of childish joy because I felt it back then, and I remember standing literally like the pyro was 1 foot in front of me. Like, you saw it in that clip. It was right there, and people are going to get to have that experience again. And I just think it's so cool. So yeah, I am really, really happy with what we've seen here, especially this early stuff where, you know, just with the movement of the cameras, the amount of pyro and stuff they're using is exactly right. This was always going to be a performance that for that section needed to be really, really maximalist. And I'm glad that they've just kind of, you know, like, okay, this is the bit where we throw the kitchen sink. Pax asks, why do the voices sound kind of raw in rehearsal clips? It's actually fairly common. I wouldn't worry about it. People hold back. The mixes aren't right yet. It's always better by the time we get to the semi-final. And they have more opportunities to fix this. So don't worry about it. Also, RIP Us from AWS. We miss you so much. Yeah, interestingly, when I started the stream today, it was only one person, but it gave me a brief shake because I was like, surely people, like, is this a widespread belief? I saw someone that was like, oh, Serbia was a flop. And I mean, for me, it seems to me that they're delivering exactly what they wanted to. I do think the choice of section is interesting because this is towards the end of the performance. And it shows that they want to... I feel like when people choose these versus, for example, Finland that chose the first 30 seconds, it indicates a desire or a feeling that they feel they need to build momentum somehow, if that makes sense. Yeah, in my opinion. Let's see what happens. I'm going to do a poll. Personally, I think this one is a slam dunk. I cannot see a world in which this doesn't qualify. You might disagree with me. So I'm going to start a poll now, and I am going to make it Serbia is more likely to Q and NQ. And start. There we go. Off we go. So that is going in now. I have to say this is one I'm feeling pretty good about. I'd be surprised if you guys felt differently. So while that poll is on, this is something I wanted to mention tonight. And it's something completely different, but you're going to have to give me a moment to find it. A little while ago, you may remember that I asked everyone on my stream to vote in a poll, which it wasn't on this stream. That poll was for the grassroots venue of the year here in the UK, because my mum is one of the committee that runs the only community-led and cooperatively run jazz club in Britain. And I have a lot to thank you guys for tonight, because she won. They won. And we found this out just yesterday. And so we did it. And I have to say, of all of the really happy moments that I've had on this channel, the idea that we together could have been able to contribute to this is... thanks for clicking on that thing and doing that, because it means a lot to me. And and Mum, if you're watching, I love you very much. I just wanted to, while we had the opportunity, while that poll was on, I just thought I'd show you that, because we obviously only just saw that yesterday. I really wanted to share that news with you. Please keep going. I know that probably a lot of you wouldn't have been there for when that thing happened, because that was like a month ago, but I just wanted to share that result. Right. Okay. Poll finished. Poll finished, and it's 93-7. 93%, 94% on Twitch say Serbia is qualifying. And I have to agree. To be honest, I would have been really surprised if there was much disagreement on this. I think as well, it's really nice to see something that is so in its own lane. Thank you so much, V-Swede, who says, Poland's staging with the platform makes me wonder if they were inspired by a specific dance routine. Skid by Damien Gillette. It's a dance routine with a big 34-degree platform that they climb and slide down. It's really neat. Well, you never know, because a lot of these stagings start from a set of sketches, a set of inspiration pieces and other music videos and songs where the aesthetic or some of the dance moves, you know, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was part of this process. And thank you so much for that extremely generous super chat as well. I really appreciate it. You'll see with the video that's coming this weekend, for those of you who don't know, we've made a video with Sergio Hyan, who directed Doomsday Blue, Wasted Love, Leleka and a bunch of other things. And he talks a lot about this process. So actually, you will see some of that this weekend. For him, he starts by literally drawing things out on paper. Like, he makes sketches. And yeah, that's so I cannot wait for you guys to see that. I'm hoping to put it out on Sunday. If I can't get it out on Sunday, don't worry, I'll put it out on Monday. Really, that I want it to get out before the first semi-final. And then, of course, we're going to have videos on Wednesday and Friday too, so you don't need to worry about that. Someone just learned that the same guy that did Doomsday Blue did Leleka. Yes, indeed. And he talks about the different processes in that. So Serbia is through, Serbia is safe. I feel like we're all agreed on that, right? Last one from semi-final 1 before we move on to semi-final 2, and that is Sweden. And I think it's unfortunate when you see this and realize that the Melody Festival and production right now is technically superior to the Eurovision production, because this looked better at Melfest, and it's not the first time this has happened. Remember Cornelia Jacobs in 2022. I think she's doing her job. She is doing everything she needs to do great. I think she sounds solid at the moment, as we discussed yesterday. The smaller LED screen hurts this, and the effect then is not as good. Will it be fine? Yes. I think it's going to obviously qualify easily. I think it's probably on for a top 10 still. Maybe we can have a poll on that in a minute. But, yeah, I wonder whether this is a two-way thing. I think on one hand, yes, the production at Melfest is really exceptional, right? On the other hand, this performance will have been designed for that stage layout. It's a difficult art. I understand, and I don't think they should stop doing it, because it would be so much work to completely rehash, right? It's a difficult art to copy paste onto a stage that is a totally different shape and then deliver the exact same performance. That is going to make things more difficult. In any case, I think she's great. I think they're qualifying easily. I think it's really slick. I'm sure when we see the full thing, it's going to look excellent. She really has that kind of aura on stage that, in my opinion, makes people connect, right? You know, when someone just kind of occupies the space in your mind when they're performing, it draws attention to her. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. We did also, if you haven't seen it already, we did do an interview with Felicia, which we showed on Wednesday. And if you go back to that stream, you can find that. So, with all of that in mind, that is all of our Semi-1 rehearsal clips. And I'm going to ask you guys, and it is yet more polls, for a bit of a kind of sentiment check on how you feel about this semi-final. And this is going to be a general kind of, at this point we are, Loco Boombox. Thank you so much, She Badger, for the £15 tip. That's extremely generous. She says, one apple strudel is on me. Hope you're enjoying Vienna, loving the streams, watching them religiously. Have a blast. Thank you so much. And thank you thank you so much for your generosity. And thank all of you for being here. So the options are going to be, overall, about semi-final 1, I feel, and it's going to be basically optimistic to pessimistic, based on how good you thought it is. I'm writing now. 1 second. I can't spell optimistic. There we go. Very pessimistic. There we go. Okay, so start voting now, because there's been a general discourse about where people feel we're sitting with rehearsal clips compared to past years. I want to see if that is a niche position or if that's a feeling that's widely held. The best way to do that is by polling you guys in general. Algis, thank you very much for the super chat. says, after seeing the Semi 2 snippets, Semi 1 looks way weaker. It could be, bear in mind that this kind of sound problems that they had in Semi-Final 1, fixing those problems will then contribute to the Semi 2 clips sounding better. They've had more time with artists. They understand how things are working better by that point. Someone says that the revamp of Bangaranga is crazy. Please put the volume on. What I'll do, because there's just been a crash in the distance. Cynthia just dropped her phone on the floor. What I'll do is I'll make it so I can hear it, but I'm afraid I cannot play it on stream. I cannot play any clip of any song on stream for more than a few seconds. I'll do it so I can hear it, so that I can then be the judge and tell you how I feel about it. But I can't show you guys, I'm afraid, in that respect. So overall, we're going to close this poll shortly, and then before we move on to semi-final 2, where I promise you we will start with Bangaranga, we're going to go on to our next interview of the evening. That is going to be with Leleka, and this is an interview where I feel like maybe there is some... It's made easier by required reading. For those of you who don't know, Leleka has an alter ego called Donbass Girl, where she makes music that is extremely visceral, extremely kind of touching on very difficult things to talk about, to do with rage and anger and depression and you know, really, really deep and you know, sort of difficult to deal with feelings. And we had a chance to sit down and talk to her for around 10 minutes, and I'm going to play that to you. And I'm really excited for you to hear our conversation. One thing I really like about these 3 interviews today, and I really hope you will stay to hear all 3 of them, is that they're giving us very different perspectives. You know, we've sort of spoken from the perspective of the favourite who's doing something unprecedented. We're going to get the perspective of somebody who sort of is very much holding the weight of a much wider societal sort of representation on her shoulders. And then, actually, when we get to Jonas Lovv later, he was really honest about the way artists feel in this process. And it's an interview that will actually inform you about how everyone is feeling, not just Jonas. It will also inform you about sausages, but you'll understand that at the time. For now, overall, 57% of you slightly optimistic, 26 very optimistic. So in general, people are very happy, but I imagine part of that is the, you know, just the spirit of Eurovision season. It pulls us all along with it, doesn't it? K1R Boo says 3 months of membership. Thank you so much. Merry 3 months, merry ESC. Alice will qualify. Let's see about that. For now, let's move on to this interview with Leleka. I'm very excited for you to all see this, and we will discuss more about it on the other side. Let's go. We are back again, and I am joined this time by the wonderful Leleka from Ukraine. And all of you will remember we previously spoke a little bit in London, and I'm really glad we're going to get to dive in a bit deeper today. Before I do, for context, just before this interview, we will have been looking at the photos from your rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And I loved some of the dramatic, you know, the sort of how it's flying in the wind and so on. I get the impression you threw a lot of what happened at Vidbia, a lot of the staging concept there, out, started again,
yes,
brought something new.
Absolutely.
What has that process been like?
Wow. I can talk for hours about this process. It was very intense. First of all, it took a lot of time to decide with which director I want to work, which designer, which stylist, and everything, the whole creative team. And yes, we went through a lot of concepts that different directors, teams were bringing us. And yeah, I've chosen a very young and progressive director, and we really have synergy. We even read the same books, so we really feel each other. And yes, we had a very simple concept. We were discussing a lot and came to the decision that we want to go through this concept from fragmentation to the unity. Mm-hmm. And if you will pay attention to this performance, maybe you can see this like visually, but also feel this in the song, maybe see this transformation in some elements of the stage. Yeah, so this is the main idea, but it also was very complicated. We did some tests with props and with all the stuff we need to order to organize. It was very complicated because for Eurovision stage, everything should be like officially approved and not all the materials are allowed. So it was complicated a lot, and yes,
But
took
it all
a lot of time. Yeah.
all came together.
Yes.
And this idea of, because instantly, as soon as I think about this kind of, fragmentation to unity, I think about, in the song, we're talking about, we'll see new roots growing, but also simultaneously, it's this I will weave, it's Vishnu Novu Dolu, right?
Yeah. Oh.
I will.
Oh.
But what is interesting for me about this is we'll see the roots. It's
Yeah.
this kind of, it's like passive, it's watching something, it's in a major key. It's this kind of hopeful thing. But this Vishnu Novu Dolu,
Yeah.
it's in a minor key. It's an active, it's an action. There's
Yes,
an urgency.
it's like people, let's do something real to change the reality, because we all have this power in ourselves. Yeah, to act like this.
And I guess it's this, was it a very deliberate effort when you were writing this song to kind of, because it is optimistic,
Yes.
but to bring this kind of, this urgency to it. Was this something that was very deliberate in your writing process, or did it just kind of materialize as you were?
Actually, it was very natural impulse from inside of me. And I felt like, whoa, I'm going through some transformation inside of me, but it's such an strong experience that I want to share it. And it's like I don't want to use the word enlightenment, but something like you've learned something, you discovered something, and you see this power, and like, wow, it has everyone, always. Like, even if you see no hope, And I think if we live in such dark times, it's important to do something. And it's very easy to lose the hope and to lose wishes, and yeah. So I want to share this experience with everybody, and I want that nobody decide to leave this world. No, please stay, please create, please be, and try and give yourself a chance. And so for me it's, I really want to share it. So for me it's urgent because of my experience, but also because of times we're living in.
And I think I do want to come back to that a little bit, because of course there is a significance to representing Ukraine right now. But I also, before we go to that, I wanted to talk about, because it's about persistence. You're singing about it's kind of this hope despite, desire to do more things despite. Now, if we turn to your other project, which we've talked about a lot, which is
Yes.
Donbaskar,
Yes.
and a song I love very much, which is Zbroja.
Yeah.
I kind of think I see the same theme in that in a few different ways. And I wanted to sort of highlight that, even though it's a very personal place to go. But obviously, when you watch the video for this, it closes with a message. And the message is that this is a project from someone who has made the choice to live.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's you're very vulnerable and very open in the way you express this. Does it feel like a release to do this through music? Is it something that comes very naturally? Or is it something that is a more vulnerable and self-conscious
For me,
emotion?
it's a very, very therapeutical project, Donbas Girl. And for me, when I was at that moment in these dark years, for my psychological state of mind, when I understood that I still have one small percent of myself that still want to live, it was like a promise to myself that I gonna create project I'm afraid of, but I gonna do this as a promise to myself to continue to live despite everything, So for me, it was like not even like something natural or something difficult. It was like a very deep need of myself. Yeah, so it means a world to me.
Yeah.
This project.
And I guess the reason I wanted to mention it is because I feel like it's this very deep emotion, this desire to live, to prosper, to feel joy, that both in something as light as Rytm and something as dark as Zbroja seems to persist. And I feel it's very relevant in the sort of wider Ukrainian context as well.
Yes.
One thing I noticed is that in Zbroja you used words from poetry by the poet Leleka Ukrainka.
Yeah.
And so even in this, I see this kind of underlying sort of, there is this kind of the Ukrainian state of mind of the desire to live and the desire to feel joy and so on. This is quite a long-winded question, but I'm coming
Yeah.
Did you feel that in this specific context where you are representing Ukraine, you are sort of a cultural embodiment of Ukraine on the wider stage, that this is a very important thing to express?
Yes, of course. It felt like, for years my fans are writing me comments and messages like, Victoria, please apply for Eurovision, because in your voice, in your songs, in your art, we feel you mirroring everything that we feel. I hear this for years, really, and I was like, yeah, and I think in these, I often repeat this phrase, dark times, like metaphor, and in these dark times, I feel so inspired by Ukrainians, because cultural life now in Ukraine is so intense like never before. Theaters are full, concerts are full, so many new projects, so many new styles and different combinations of music collaboration. I don't know, so intense that I feel like people really feels every day that tomorrow or today could be the last day. So art giving you energy, art giving you more meaningful life. And it's also like a therapy, but it's also like celebrating life here and now. And this is also very powerful and very, I would say, mentally progressive to live like that. And this is kind of energy I want to share with Donbas Girl, but also with Ridnem. And but of course, Donbas Girl, for me is like a little bit even more personal, but still, through personal things and your personal story, very intimate and inner, it still could be general and very connected to all other individual stories. So yeah, I think it's everything like just connected.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, is that, and I spoke to we have some viewers from Ukraine, and I spoke to some of them before I released a video about Vidbir, where I talked about your song, and I showed them the script beforehand and sort of, am I getting the right things here? One of the things they really connected with is that it's the honesty about the ugly feelings that any rational, reasonable person would feel. And so it's very important to express these things. And so I guess in some ways, is there a feeling that you're expressing through Eurovision now, not just kind of your own feelings and emotions, but very much a kind of general, this is an underlying feeling for Ukrainians at large? Yeah,
I think so. This is this song has like dramaturgy, and it's like a fight between different things in yourself, this hope, but also this darkness, and also your fear, like a lot of fear, but also anger can come out from it, and this anger could destroy something, but it also can destroy something darkful to create something good. So it's for me about accepting these ugly feelings that we need, for example, to protect this light in ourselves. So yeah, it's pretty a complex story of all of this. That's why the song is so full of contrasts. Yeah,
I think that's a sort of really beautiful place to close out. And I just have one tiny little place to finish on, which is a question we've been asking a lot of people.
Yeah.
We are now 2 weeks away from the end of this experience.
Yes.
In 2 weeks' time, what do you want to feel? What do you want to happen for you to be able to say, I'm so happy I did this?
A very simple. I wish very simple thing for myself. Just try in this crazy, intense period. Stay by myself. Be the center of my own universe. Not to be too much influenced by everything stressful that's going around me, and just do what I can do. Like sing like nobody is listening and dance like nobody's watching you. Just be so sincere as I can. If I will have this feeling, I would be the happiest person in the world. But also, of course, I want to reach other people's hearts. But this is even more difficult, I think. So if I will be in the center of myself, I will try with sincerity reach all of you.
Well, I think you've certainly reached many people's hearts, and we have certainly felt that, and so many of our viewers have felt that as well. So thank you so much for bringing your art to us, and thank you so much for speaking to us. And we wish you the very best of luck.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for invitation, and thank you that you checked so many things and you're pronouncing them so correctly. Lesia Ukrainka, Зброя. Wow, I'm just so impressed by your professionality, and thank you.
We try our very best. We want to give it the respect that it deserves.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I feel right. I feel like maybe that many of you didn't quite treat that with the sincerity of the tone of the interview. But at the same time, I think this one, for me, I found quite emotionally impactful. And when I went away from it, I very much felt, one thing that really stuck out to me was the way that she talked about the fact that Ukrainian cultural life has become more active in this time, as if it's like the thing is that because the Ukrainian world right now is so existential, that these things take on this kind of incredible urgency that you don't necessarily otherwise feel, because in Ukrainian existence right now, you no longer you can't take freedom for granted. You can't take the ability to go to the theater or to make music or to, go to a comedy show or whatever. You can't take those things for granted anymore. You have to enjoy them and support them. And I generally just, it was really interesting for me to understand her on a deeper level, but also I really feel like the more I speak to Ukrainian artists and the more I engage with Ukrainian cultural experiences, little by little, it reveals a little more of the psyche of Ukrainians to me. And I found it a really, often very heartbreaking and very visceral, but also essential experience to understand that more. And hopefully all of you felt that too, because my really key thing that I wanted to do going into that interview was to essentially, and thank you so much for the 100 bits, just Noid, was to take what we sort of posited in that video. And if you haven't already, the video is called For Ukraine, Eurovision is now more important than ever, something like that. It's on my channel. You should go watch it later. Was to take that video and bring it from a conceptual piece, or however you want to describe it, that was produced by a foreigner, and connect it to the real lived experiences and desires and intentions and fears of the Ukrainian artist behind the art. And so hopefully you felt that we were able to do that. That was the thing that was really essential to us. I think as well, it's really important in my position to tell these stories and to engage with them, because I am lucky enough to have this platform, and I want to use it for, for good, for to help amplify these things. Every artist has a message, and the staging directors and the creatives and the songwriters, and there are so many people with these rich, beautiful stories to tell. And I think, and people sometimes criticize me for getting carried away or getting overly excited about certain things or for making wild predictions. And while that's fair enough, for me, half the point is getting carried away in these stories. Why can't this be a little crazy world where we all just let it take us away somewhere? Why can't we be overly sincere about this? Why can't we be like hyper engaged in it? I just think it's a blessing to be able to do these things, and it's a blessing to be in the position where hopefully I can do these with other people. Hopefully you have felt that in things like this, and we really want to do more in the future. And so that is kind of the closest thing I get to a manifesto when it comes to this channel, is getting carried away in things that are beautiful and amazing. Now, we are going to talk about the first 10 countries of semi-final 2. Daima Doesn't says, kill nonchalance, get dishonorably discharged from the DJF war. Absolutely, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I also think within that is the political dimension as well. We shouldn't be ashamed or flinch away from it. We shouldn't be scared of these things, because I find that it's very affecting when you stare them in the eyes. I certainly found that when we went to Moldova. We could have just gone and done a national final video, but we went and we stared occupation in the eye. And for me, that became an essential part of this story. And I think it's an essential part of the story of the song. I understand that song, and I understand the motivations better because we did that. Now, I am going to reel in my fervent preaching for a moment. Let's look at semi-final 2. And we're going to, it looks like they've changed the order now, so it's now in alphabetical. That's fine. So we will start with Armenia, then we'll move on to Jiva the Diva, and then we'll do Bulgaria. I will listen to that one in my ears. In fact, what I'm going to do, I've pressed a button, so now I'll be able to hear the clips because I haven't seen these. You won't be able to hear them. So if I play this now, good, that's not coming through. So I'm going to pull these through and I'll let you know what I think. Oh, I am not a robot. Let's see what we got. I'm seeing this for the first time. Okay, so the props are lift. Okay, so some first reactions for me. I have differing thoughts on a conceptual level versus on an execution level. Conceptually, I think the lift is a cool prop, and the sort of opening and closing and looking backward and forward is interesting. But how many people are going to notice this? How many people are going to feel particularly differently about the fact that it changes from one side to another? That is my first thought. The second thing is I hope we get more expansive dancing in different parts of this, because at the moment we're not a million. Some of this isn't a million miles away from the Asila shuffle, and obviously that's not what we want. I think that, but there are some things I like about it. I will say the problem with the post-it note thing is everyone is going to see it and go, oh, like the guy from last year. That will be a negative effect on the televote potentially. I know it's a thing that exists, Stephen. My point is that I don't know whether it's a super effective staging device in particular, that they're looking in one and then they flip and look in the other. Like, is it going to come across well? That's my question. I will not be doing the Asila shuffle for now. We will come to that later. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, I don't hate it. I just hope that for such a loud and busy song, we see something much more expansive later on. Because if it's too confined to this for too long, there will be it'll be a problem. It will be a problem, in my opinion. I'm curious what you guys think of it. So for now, for these rehearsal clips, because we're seeing them for the first time, let's do polls on whether they'll qualify on Sunday. For today, I'm going to basically give you a kind of like it versus don't like it on the rehearsal clip. So let's start with this one. Armenia's clip. And it's just going to be like it, don't like it. Okay, let me know what you think. The poll is out now. Stephen, that's the wrong poll. You need to wait until I tell you what the poll is before you put the poll. And he's ended the poll. There we go. He can put the right one up now. Let's see what you think of this. I'm going to remind you, as I did before, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. One thing I really, really would love to do would be to get to 60,000 subscribers while we're here at Eurovision. I'm currently on about 57,400, so, hopefully we can do it. That would be really, really amazing. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. We are going to be streaming as well all through next week, and some of the streaming times might change slightly based on when guests are available. So I will keep you up to date with that. As for who the guests are, all I will say is we confirmed another one today, which I'm very excited about. Jay says hi. Hi, Jay. But in any case, if you're a particular fan of Finnish women on flying microphones, maybe you should just ensure that you come and see the stream on Tuesday. Anyway, let's move on. And 65% of you say that you like this clip. 65% say you like it, and 35% say don't like it. And I'm sure that's the only thing you guys are talking about in chat right now. I have to say, I'm a bit on the fence with this one because I've just seen it for the first time. Like I said, I gave some of my first instincts of it on Sunday, and James is going to be here as well on Sunday from of the model fame. I am going to be, we'll go through these all again, right? With the benefits of a few days and having James's perspective as someone who looks at these in a very different way to me. You guys are quite excited about that potential guest. I mean, we have, I'm not going to reveal all of our secrets. We have a bunch planned for this week, and we haven't told you most of them yet. Well, you'll find out. You know what? You'll see them when you see them, and we'll get through all of it as it comes. Let's move on to Azerbaijan. Jiva the Diva. Let's see here. So again, I am going to be listening to these. So that's Bangaranga. We'll get to you. Let's see if this is as bad as we expect it to be. So, she's singing in Azeri. This is... I mean, her voice sounds good. And I guess it's a metaphor. She's tearing herself free of the shackles of the relationship, I guess. Well, it's still this song, so it's still coming last, but I didn't mind that, actually. I really, really didn't mind that. Firstly, someone says, will Sunday's stream coincide with the turquoise carpet? No, it'll be immediately after. This, I mean, the song is boring, and I think this bit at the start has little to no aura, but I will say, I do like the way she shakes him off. I get the impression, though, that there may have been a technical error here because she has one on each hand. The first one, she rips her hand clear off. The second one, she does not. It stays on her wrist, but the guy lets it go. I suspect they are both meant to rip away. Maybe she will finish 14th. But one thing I would say is that this hat is really giving all the boys in the club sipping cool champagne, and that is not the image we need. So, staging, not terrible. The song, still a disaster, is the final position you're getting on that. I really don't have that much to say about this, to be honest, because I just think it's really not nothing can save it, right? But yeah, let's move on, because I do want to know what it is that has happened to Bangaranga. I'm going to pause this quickly. So apparently there's a revamp. I'm going to hear this. I'm going to feel really differently about it. But you can have an Azerbaijan poll. You know what? That's fair enough. Someone asks, where is Alexandra? Don't worry. We are coming to that. Starter poll. Where will Azerbaijan finish in the semi? Last, not last. Start poll. There we go. So while I'm watching this clip and listening, you can vote in that poll now. And you should have plenty of time to do that. All right, I'm going to hit play. Okay. Oh, they've added some bits. Oh, I love that this sort of little vocal they've added over the top of it. Really develops it. Okay. One of the big problems I had with this was that it was so repetitive. If they've actually added a little bit extra to the final chorus to make a difference, that would go some way to help address one of the key things that I am currently not a big fan of. That said, with the staging in general, I'm going to look at it again without sound, just so I can focus on that more generally. How do we feel about this? I mean, I love some of these shots. I will say this in particular, this one with the flashing and flickering lights, I think is quite cool. I think this is a really nice way of doing this. The dancing is all well and good, but especially when you get into these kinds of like quite long distance shots where they occupy quite a small part of the screen, I don't know. I feel like they've got this really intricate choreo. Keep it tight, you know? Have some cameras flying around them, but make them fly in at tight angles rather than having such wide shots. That one at the end, in my opinion, I don't think this really works. You can't see them. So, I don't mind it. I think it's charismatic. I think I like what they've done with the track. I like the changes that they've made. But I think there are some camera decisions in particular that I'm maybe not there with yet. I will say this is quite late on, and her vocals sounded all right. So maybe it's fine. Let's see what happened. In any case, obviously this is qualifying, right? I feel like for the most part, there's a few of you who seem to be insinuating that you're doubting it a little, but I think it'll be just fine. I am going to close that poll quickly, by the way. 70% of you think that Jiva the Diva is coming last. The other 30% I think have enjoyed the Jiva the Diva memes too much and are therefore now convinced. I will say one thing that I like about this, all else aside, about the production choice and stuff, I really feel Dara's charisma through this, and I really feel like she's commanding all of these shots. It feels totally in her control. And the eye contact that she's making, even in some of these little shots, like just for a brief moment, like take the zoom shot that happens now, and you can see she's still focused on the camera all the way in. She's maintaining this kind of intensity that I think helps sell the song in a way that's really positive, and it shows, the sort of experience that she has. So in terms of the aura farming section of the sort of score here, I feel like she's doing well. She was always likely to be one of the more efficient aura farmers of this year, but this is particularly good in my opinion. The thing I'm worried about in terms of the camera shots and so on is after rehearsal 2, you're pretty much locked in. You can only change minor things. Maybe a light or something can be adjusted, but beyond that, it is difficult. Let's do a poll. It's going to be, again, a straight, how do we feel about it? Do we like it? Do we not like it? I'm going to go for a bit more choice. You can have 4 options. So love it, like it, dislike it, hate it. And let's just see, this is more about getting a general idea of what the wider opinion is. Right. So Bulgaria's clip. And we have love it, like it, dislike it, hate it. And when you're voting here, try to put aside your personal opinion of the song and try and take it in the context of, okay, I'm seeing it as a performance now. For me, that big positive is the fact that she commands the stage and commands the camera so convincingly. I think that really adds something, and it honestly means that all of these other things I'm talking about, like this camera shot, for example, is kind of nitpicking. Like, I have to say, I really, really love the way that this zoom in shot, the fact that they do this big zoom in and they get us close enough that you can see she is staring us down. I really, really like that. So you have plenty of time to vote, so make sure you do. I am going to give you a little bit more time before I turn anything off. By the way, apparently Discord is down. Maybe it's back up now, but it's certainly down before. So welcome, Discord refugees. And a big shout, actually, I do want to shout out the team at ESC Discord who work really, really hard and hold that fort together impressively well, given the number of people that are in there. While we wait, Danda points out you can also buy merch if you really want. I have hats. Here is one of the hats. And it says insufficient reach. We originally designed it so it just said the words, but then they gave us accreditation this year, so we just crossed out the in because now we have sufficient reach. And we do t-shirts and hoodies, and they're really comfy, and we think the designs are really cool, and it would be fantastic to if you guys wanted to take a look at that. The merch is all vegan. If you want to try and eat it, you can. I don't recommend it. It has no animals in it. We have tried to be go for ethical, sustainable suppliers and sources, and also stuff that lasts. Now we are going to end the poll, and overall, there's a kind of measured optimism, I would say, for this. 56% like it, 23% love it, 19% dislike it, 2% hate it. I'm glad no one hates it, because I feel like that would be an exaggeration. I understand why, if, depending on what you're looking for, there are some things that I go, okay, yeah, I change. But for me, I agree with the majority opinion on this. I like it. I think it's in a really good place. Let's see if they can, take that further. I really hope they can. I will say, like I said, that little revamp is really cool. The next one, again, I'm going to be listening with sound. You're not going to hear it. One of the key criticisms or the sort of worries that has been floated for this is the vocal. Remember, it's a rehearsal. I've been saying this a few times. If you hear a bad note in a rehearsal, it does not mean you're going to hear a bad note on the night. People are saying, please don't listen with sound. So I haven't looked at this yet. I sort of briefly glanced at it before I came on, but I haven't had a chance to properly see it. So this will be my first proper going through. Kanabai says, just joined, what have I missed? 2 hours 23 of chaos. Make sure you watch it all back. All right, so I can hear it. Okay, so my first instinct, I like the prop, but if she's going to be up there the whole time, If she's going to be up there the whole time, it is massively restrictive to her. Or if she's out there for most of the time. I feel like they'll do a catwalk run towards the end because it just makes sense for this song, right? It restricts her. It keeps her still. I'm not sure how much it contributes to the performance. As for the vocals, like I said, we have to extend every possible courtesy when it comes to rehearsals. So I'm going to keep it light on this for now. But there are potentially some developing technical problems here to do with the execution of the choreography while being able to keep your breath and sing the song too. That then, if we take that back to, okay, they've put her on a prop where it restricts her movement and the dancers are moving around her, makes sense if she isn't able to dance that much without getting out of breath, that they'd keep her still. That's the explanation. It still means that this will be worse as a result. I heard the same thing all of you heard. I'm going to give her the opportunity to do it live on Monday. Obviously, Monday night for the jury show, that's when she'll be giving it 100%, right? I'll be sat right here watching it and telling you what's happening in real time. So if it's bad, if it doesn't work, it's the first time we're going to see the full stagings, remember? Then I think we can go into a lot more depth on the vocals. So don't worry, we are going to talk about the vocal on this song. I just think it's best to wait until that moment when we see what 100% looks like. Because I don't want to analyze anyone's vocals based on 60%. We've got burned by doing this before. And I don't want to do that for now. So we can talk about the performance as a kind of staging piece instead. And it's like I said, firstly, I think she looks great. She looks gorgeous. I think it's quite easy to deliver on that front for someone like her. I think she sort of really, her vibe fits this song, right? But I am really, really conscious of this lack of movement, and now I've noticed it. We see her go from the chair, forward a few steps, back a few steps, dances on the spot, barely moving at all. I just think it's a problem. I am going to do a poll. Again, I'm not going to do the Q or NQ poll on any of these Semi-2 clips because I want a couple more days to digest them. And I would suggest you take that time as well. But what I am going to do is, again, the same love it, like it, dislike it thing that we did with the last one. So, Cypress clip. And so, love it, like it, dislike it, hate it. All right, here you go. Here is the next one. So, with that poll, we've now done 4 of the 10 in semi-final 2. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the next one, Czechia. After that, we are going to go to our final rehearsal, which is with, our final interview, which is Jonas Lovv. And then we will do the final 5. They are all out now. Because that way the interview is still embedded into the stream. I don't want to have it sort of tailing off the end. I'm excited for you guys to see this interview because the insight that it gives you into some of the psyche of being a musician at this stage. He gave a really interesting answer about how artists feel after their first rehearsals and looking at it for the first time, which sheds a lot of light on the process, in my opinion. We also talked about giant sausages. We spent a good amount of time discussing sausage. And yeah. I'm going to give you a few more seconds with this poll. The Twitch timer is about halfway down. 650 of you have voted. And that means that there is still plenty more time for more of you to vote. Also, I hope this leg is better than the leg in the last time, the last interview. It was a very hot day. We did these back to back. These interviews were about 30 minutes apart. So you're going to have to just let me off, I'm afraid. And stop calling it Gleg. Not Jonas Leg. Oh dear. What a mess. Maybe I'll do a poll later on whether we like the shorts or not. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Right. So, poll is done, and on Twitch, 51% say dislike it. On YouTube, on Twitch, 55. On YouTube, 51. 39% like it. That's the same on both sides. Love it, 6. Hate it, 4. So no one feels that strongly about it. I'm kind of glad about this result because I don't think we've seen enough to make a conclusive judgment. I mean, that's obviously true for most, right? But I think we can draw some implications from what we're seeing, right? And I don't think that's a problem. We're going to do the last one in these 5. And then, like I said, after that, we're going to go to the Jonas interview. And that is Czechia. I listened to this once without headphones before this stream. So I'm going to be listening to it again. Let's see what we got. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited for this. His voice. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was beautiful. The level of connection with the camera, the use of the mirrors is so clever. And I have to say, was this deliberate? This one towards the end, when he says patterns and he reaches out and he touches and it shakes like that. If that's a deliberate effect, I think that's a really nice, clever little subtle touch. I just find him, I don't know about all of you, I find it really compelling. Like, I find the way he looks at the camera really compelling. I find I think his voice, and we can read into the voice when it's really good, is perfect. In a rehearsal, it's perfect. If this is 60%, I'm really excited for what 100% is going to sound like. Give me a moment, I'm just going to drink some. The other thing I'm excited for, Czechia has a prop. We've been waiting for times like these. And they've scrambled together enough pennies to buy themselves some mirrors. And it really, really works. I think this was a cool effect from the music video where they have the diving through the mirrors. This, in my opinion, is exactly the right approach with limited resources, with, when you could do something simple and it just works. Somebody said that they would, and I've lost the comment now, but someone said they would personally give all the jurors a little kiss on the forehead if Czechia wins the juries. I 100% think this is in that group of songs that could sort of reach the upper echelons of that. I really do. And I'd be really, really excited to see Czechia in that group. Personally, at the moment, I would say qualification seems likely. More so after this clip. And I'm going to do the poll in a moment, don't worry. But yeah, I'm really excited. Really, really excited about this. Okay, here comes the poll. Same one as the previous ones. The Czechia clip. And your options are love it, like it, dislike it, hate it. All right, get ready. I have pressed the button and you should now be able to vote. And so, right, you have time now. Off you go. And it'll start on Twitch again shortly. There we are. I can see it's been put up. I'm really curious to see what people think of this. I mean, I have to say, Daniel has really grown on me as well since he came and sat with us the other night. I found him a very calming presence, and I think all of you did too. His voice is very ASMR, but also just it was nice to see how comfortable he was in himself. People are warning me based on Adonis last year. I will say, I think this is better and more already. Like, there were warning signs with the donuts, right? There are things that didn't look right, things that were maybe going wrong. This feels better than that did last year. And also we have juries now in this semi where we didn't for Adonis last year, which probably would have helped. Also, we don't have a really out of place dance break. Yeah, the dance break was a mistake. I think everyone can realize that now, but you know. But can you imagine Crossroads with the dance break? It just wouldn't make any sense. Literally, it's like Crossroads with the Asila shuffle. Like, Crossroads. See, just again, doesn't work. I need to stop doing that little shuffle. I've done it so many times this evening. It's like a tick for me now. Every now and then I'm just like. It's a long old night after all. I've been on this stream by myself. Literally, I've been sat talking to myself in the kitchen for 2.5 hours. And for some reason, instead of reporting me to the relevant authorities and suggesting that I may have taken leave of my senses, you all sit here, watch me and encourage it. And, you know, I must wonder sometimes. Okay, so as I said, we've now gone through 5 of the 10 in semi-final 2. I'm going to leave that poll. I'm going to close that poll now. 66% of you on YouTube and 60% on Twitch say they love it. 32% say like it, 28% on YouTube, and then 6% and 1% respectively for dislike it and hate it. So this is one you were really enthusiastic about, and that's really great to see. Sola says, just wondering if you're going to look at the Big Four rehearsal photos. Yeah, sure, let's do that. Once we go through all of the semi-2 clips that we have, we'll then move on to that. For now, though, as I said, we are going to take a little, just under 15-minute break from rehearsals, and we're going to go to our final interview of the day. And that is with Jonas Lovv from Norway. Like I said, this is a really fascinating one. Again, really different to the last two. Jonas is a very relaxed guy, a lot of fun to be around. And I hope you enjoy this. So I am going to let us take it away. That like we're going to be on a talk show.
Yes, this is a talk show. What do you mean?
Welcome to ESC Gabe TV, where we are on set with the one and only Jonas Lovv from Norway with his song Ja Ja Ja, that was previously 4 yars, but as we have established is now 3.
Yeah.
I think we should probably, I'm going to leave my leg alone. You probably expect me to start with something about Eurovision, but actually we're going to begin by talking about sausages.
Sausages.
And so obviously as a Bergen native, there is a very important sausage shop that I've been informed about, but have not yet visited myself. If I was going to go to buy a sausage from the Trekoneren in Bergen, which one should I get and why? Tell me some of the options.
You should get the longest. And that's not a joke. When I'm serious. It started out as a joke, but I asked a friend of mine in Bergen, I said, what's your favorite restaurant in Bergen? And he said, Trekoneren, which is this tiny little, there's just a window, basically, tiny little kitchen. It's been there for years and years, and they sell sausages. And all like quality sausages. But I asked him, okay, which one would you order? And he said the longest one. As a joke. And then I went and got it, and it's like this big, honestly. So yeah, for the experience, you should. But it's pornographic how big that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had another. He's a comic, and he said that thing should be pixelated because he saw this tourist with the sausage, and it was bigger than the woman holding it.
Oh gosh, it's like sort of this long.
Yeah, it's like
giant
that long,
sausage.
and she's like there. And it looks so graphic.
Oh gosh. Well, what we'll do is when I show this interview on my stream, I'm going to pause at this point, and I'm going to show everyone just how big this sausage is, and I'm sure they will enjoy it, given that last year the joke. So I need to find a picture of this sausage. I forgot that I agreed to do this. Give me a moment. Right. I'm Googling extremely large sausage. Images. There's lots of sausages, but I can't find like the extra long sausage, you know? Those are some pretty big sausages, you know? Those are smaller. Yeah, these are some pretty hefty sausages. Anyway, shall we go back to the interview? Was that, oh, what package is everyone bringing to Eurovision? This
Yeah.
year, we accidentally had an incident with everyone has a box these days. So,
yeah.
and so it's been a bit of a, let me just say that the maturity level on my stream is not necessarily the highest in the
Yeah,
world.
no. And it shouldn't be.
No, we should have some fun.
Yeah.
At some points. There are times to be serious, there are times to laugh.
Absolutely.
Seriously, when I think about Bergen, I've got friends who are sort of on the music scene in Bergen. In fact, one of them, and we talked about Sondre previously. He's obviously on stage with you and does the the yayas in the bridge.
Yeah.
He has a studio with one of my friends in Bergen, and they have sort of talked about some of the challenges of being musicians in Oslo, in Norway,
Bergen.
outside of Oslo,
Yeah.
and what it's like in different cities.
Yeah.
As a Bergen native yourself, is this something you've experienced? Has it changed over time?
I think what you're picking up on is the producer side of it as well, because being a producer in Bergen can be more difficult than being a musician or an artist, maybe a musician especially. If you're in a band, Bergen is a great place to be in a band. There's lots of venues to play, and the people are really accepting of like the concert scene. They want to experience live music. Oslo, of course, is our capital, and it's bigger, and all the big media houses are there. So of course there will be naturally more coverage and more people in general. But for a producer, I think Oslo is the better city to stay in, because you get all these people coming in and out, and you get this network. But Bergen, for like a musician or a band, really great. And there's a lot of great bands coming out of Bergen, and artists as well.
And what's it like for the sort of Norwegian music scene at the moment? So take, for example, someone who does, the kinds of music that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we're in a sort of good spot at the moment? Are there things that maybe aren't going so great in terms of like the health of the industry at large and how easy it makes it to build like a career, both in terms of the audience and in terms of the paying the bills?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been super like I support every artist. I there's a genre that I don't like, and there's genres that I like more or less, and but I never point my finger and it's like, that's not music, or you shouldn't be where you are whilst doing that sort of music, because in Norway we have this party music scene, which is I would say had become a bit tainted. There's a lot of AI coming in and out of it, and there's a lot of it's music only for the sake of having a beat to do cocaine to and trip, But on the other hand, there is a lot of great music as well. I'm just seeing the tendencies of it becoming more of a music for the sake of a party instead of music for the enjoyment of the art of music,
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, it's something that we see everywhere a little bit, but I guess, it's these kinds of things where there is, in every genre, there's genuine people and genuine kind of things, right? And it's about getting to the core of that.
Yeah.
For you, as someone who kind of, like I look at sort of your image, the sounds I'm hearing, the way you sing on the records and so on, like it feels like it harks back to a lot of the kind of quite classic, almost nostalgic.
Yeah,
I think we talked a little bit about this in London, but in a room that is not loud as hell.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to maybe reflect a little bit on those influences.
Absolutely,
in a longer way.
Yeah, and the thing is, I am so incredibly lucky that I get to write and perform and be accepted with the music that I am currently doing, because it is a genre that has become more of a taste like wine. It's like the people that love it, they really love it, and the people that doesn't love it don't really like. It's a give or take, and I think that's becoming more and more visible in Eurovision as well. I mean, I don't really check my odds and stuff like that, but I do know that I'm a dark horse in this race, and I do think that comes down to me being a rock performer, So but I just feel so lucky that people actually want to hear rock. And when I won Melodi Grand Prix with a rock song, it really sort of opened my mind to like, okay, maybe we are heading in a direction that, for me at least, is good and healthy, and organic music can really thrive, you know. And I see it in this lineup in Eurovision this year as well. There's so much genuine music, and the genres is all the way from rock to like the most intense dance, and yeah, I just love it. It's so much wonderful music being fronted and gets to be in the spotlight again.
I mean, that's the great thing about Eurovision. And obviously now we're here, it's a very collegiate atmosphere. And what many people won't know is that the way the setup is here, lots of different delegations, they're all in hotels together, everyone's going to events together, going on days out and stuff, you know, together and so on. And I guess being in that bubble is one of the best parts of the experience.
Absolutely.
But also I imagine it gives you a bit more time to breathe and actually enjoy yourself than, like, you know, we saw you at the pre-parties. Like I said, there was maybe 30 different outlets in that room. It's 3 or 4 minutes. It's, you know, snap through, next one, next one, next one.
Yeah.
Is it nice to be able to actually come into this experience and take it at, you know, paradoxically, given that we're at the contest now, a slightly slower pace?
Absolutely, and I've been looking forward to, I mean, I love the pre-party. It's the most fun I've had in a long, long time. And a lot of it is not only meeting the fans, it's also being with people who are in the exact same position as you are. They're just as tired, and they're just as excited. We have all the same feelings around this whole thing. Of course, somebody handles this part better, and somebody does this better, and stuff like that, but we're all like in the same boat.
You feel seen, right?
Really,
with each other.
Truly, yeah. And I think that's why we've become such good friends already. It seems weird because it's like, well, they're not really friends. We actually are, because we're going through this, call it a traumatic thing, because it is really intense for anybody. Being an artist or a musician, it's not as glamorous as you might think it is, because it's so much work and travel, and you have to perform at a really high level, and you judge yourself every single day, you know? And so to have other people around you, especially now here in Vienna, when the only thing we're supposed to do is the song and just enjoy each other's company and meet lovely people like yourself. Well, you know how it is, right? Doing press here is so much more chill as well, because we are here. This is all we have to do. I don't have to go home to a crappy hotel room and then I have a flight tomorrow morning. It's just, we're here, we're all breathing, and we're having fun, and we are chatting with each other, and we're not seeing each other as much as we would like yet, because everybody has rehearsals, and we did our first rehearsals. And for you people at home, when you see your first rehearsals, you panic, because you're like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, there's always things that are wrong, always things that are wrong.
This is the same for everybody, because this amazing crew here in Vienna at the venue are working so hard, and they're incredible people. The sun is just beaming down outside, and they're inside this black venue all day and just working. And I had my rehearsals yesterday, and the best part of it was honestly meeting the people who make it, make the stage and make it all come alive. Such beautiful, wonderful people.
And you've been seeing their work for weeks. I mean, I'm glad you went to the rehearsals, because what people might not know as well is there's also the stand-in rehearsal before.
Yeah.
So it must be interesting. Oh, you didn't get to see that?
I do not get to see that. No.
Well, the delegation, so for those who don't know, there's a stand-in rehearsal, so there will have been steps along where, you know, there will have been a first round of feedback, and there's all this back and forth between the delegations and the artists and the creative teams, and then seeing it all come together. I guess though the thing is you'll go into the next rehearsal now in a few days, and when you come out the other side and you'll look at it again, and it'll feel so much better.
Yeah,
because all these things will be more the way you want them to be.
Exactly, and people are working around the clock, just making sure everybody gets what they want, because the worst possible thing that could happen is somebody stepping off that stage being like, that is not what I intended, you know? One thing is performing or your voice not being whatever, but for the people working at Eurovision, at the venue, their sole goal is for you to be as happy as you can be with the whole production side of it. And when I stepped on stage, from the second I stepped on stage, they were so amazing, and just there were high fives, and we were not. It felt like nobody gave a fuck at the same time as everybody was working their ass off. You know,
they're relaxed, and I guess the main thing is at this point, you know, I get the feeling just based on how you're talking about this and your body language and everything that it's very much a kind of things are going in the right direction and things are coming together at the pace they need to for when it gets to, well, I guess Wednesday night for the jury show, but Thursday night when the whole world sees it, for things to be on point as you want them to be. And I guess, I mean, I feel like these kind of encapsulating the excitement for that is the best place. I mean, how do you feel now as a closer? With it being a week away.
It's insane, yeah.
Is it starting to get this kind of pre-Christmas like anticipation feeling? Do you just want it to be here already? Do you wish you had sort of more time to savor it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want to have it in the horizon because I know that we are just enjoying our time so much, and you want it to push that date as much as you can because you just want to first of all rehearse and you want it to be perfect, and it's a nerve-wracking day, but at the same time just knowing how I felt at my regional finals, standing on that stage with an arena full of people, it's the best feeling in the world, and all you want is that rush again. You're chasing that every single time. But yeah, just seeing this show come to life once again with our team and the team here in Vienna it's really, really magical.
I think that's a beautiful place to close up.
Yeah.
Jonas, we wish you the best of luck. It's great to speak to you again. And we will all be going to Bergen to get the longest sausage we can find.
Yes.
Well, there you go. I gave you sausage. I gave you insights on how stressed everyone is when they get their first rehearsals back. Thanks so much to Jonas for agreeing to speak to us. And, you know, it was really, really, honestly, all three of these interviews, I will say, one thing I really wanted to work on this year is that I've always enjoyed interviewing artists. I would often find that my nerves would get the better of me a little bit. I would not quite reach the level that I wanted to. Whereas I feel like this year I've come away from the interviews so far feeling much more satisfied. Like satisfied that we're getting into the, you know, getting to where we need to get to. And everyone has something unique to offer and a really unique perspective. And I hope as well that, you know, it's interesting for you guys. So thanks so much for being here to enable me to have these conversations. And I really hope that, you know, we'll continue to all grow together. I thought what he said about the fact that broadcasters don't always show artists the stand-ins to keep them, you know, sane and like sort of manage their nerves and stuff. And also the fact that everyone sees the first rehearsal and freaks out. It's really vulnerable. I think I really want to appreciate Jonas for being willing to be that open with us. Now, we have 5 more to look at. 5 more, which are Denmark, Latvia, Luxembourg, Romania, and Switzerland. I plan to go for 3 hours, but let me tell you this. I'm not going off air until we've done justice to all of these 5. And so we will soldier on until I am all done. Starting, we'll keep going in the order with Denmark. I have not seen any of these. Except for, I saw Romania once before, but only, again, like on a phone in a taxi. So not in any good quality. Let's look at Denmark first. And they're taking immediately the Finland approach, the first 30 seconds of the performance. Give away absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I can hear it in my ears, but you guys won't be able to hear it. Obviously looks very, very similar to Danish MGP indeed. So, it's extremely similar. It is extremely, extremely, extremely similar to Dansk MGP, but you will remember I said at the time, they should not change very much. One little thing I just noticed at the end here is look at this, the guy, and the way his eyes follow him. I like that. The fact that it's like they've tried to reach out and grab him, but they can't get to him, and Søren slips away, at least for a moment. I will say as well, I prefer this shirt to the shirt he was wearing at DMGP. The coloring is nice. The little use of the switching lights from the side of his face and stuff. The fact they've made his hair slightly shaggier. I just think, in general, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. This is kind of what I wanted to see. I would have been kind of worried if we'd got to this point and the Danes had chosen to throw a lot of it out and start again. Yeah, so I'm keen to hear your thoughts. It's difficult to analyze this because we know, right? We've been seen it before. Like I'm a kind of, I still believe in it, but this tells us less than almost anything else because we get only the very, very intro, and they're trying to keep as much back as possible. If they have a surprise, it will be later on in a part that we absolutely have not seen yet. And I will say as well, maybe it's just the way it's lit. I feel like the box looks slightly cleaner than it did in the national final. Like in the national final, it had quite a lot of blemishes and marks on it. You can still see some of them here, but it doesn't seem like there's as many. And a lot of it is obscured by the fact that, you know, it's only when Søren is warping it with his hands. Stop it. Ella S says, a clean box, eh?